The paintbrush trembled in my hand, not from nerves, but from exhaustion. I'd been working on this piece for 18 hours straight, layering oils with a technique I'd developed over years of secret practice. Still playing with your hobby crafts, I see. I didn't need to turn around to recognize Melissa's voice. My best friend since college had a way of making hobby sound like a four-letter word. It's coming along, I said quietly, adding another precise stroke to the canvas. She laughed, that tinkling sound she'd perfected at gallery openings we used to attend together, back when we were both aspiring artists. Oh, Jade, when are you going to accept that not everyone is meant to be an artist? There's no shame in having a little craft corner. My mother does watercolors too. Very therapeutic. I set down my brush carefully, reminding myself that throwing it at her Hermes bag would waste a perfectly good Kolinsky sable. This isn't watercolor, I pointed out. It's oil on canvas, part of a series. A series? She practically choked on her latte. Darling, real artists don't work in series until they're established. You're putting the cart before the horse, again. She wandered around my studio, the spare bedroom I'd converted 3 years ago when she'd stopped inviting me to gallery events. Her designer heels clicked disapprovingly on the paint-stained drop cloth. What's this supposed to be? She gestured at my latest canvas with her phone, already half-raised to document my amusing attempts for her Instagram story. It's an abstract interpretation of urban decay and renewal, I explained, watching her face scrunch with practiced confusion. It looks like you spilled paint and tried to fix it, she declared. This is why I keep telling you, maybe try painting by numbers first? Build up some basic skills before attempting, whatever this is. My phone vibrated on the work table. An email from Laurent Marseille at the Meridian Gallery. I'd been waiting for this response for 2 months, ever since I'd quietly submitted my portfolio under a pseudonym. Who's texting? Your Etsy customers? Melissa smirked. Oh yes, Karen told me about your little online shop, selling prints of your work. How entrepreneurial. I thought about the little online shop that had generated 6 figures last year. Collectors from Tokyo to London ordering limited editions I produced between major pieces, but Melissa had already decided my narrative, hobbyist playing at business, crafter pretending to be an artist. Actually, she continued, settling into my only chair like a queen granting an audience, I came by to tell you about my triumph. The Westfield Gallery wants to feature my work next month. A solo show, can you imagine? I could imagine. The Westfield was known for vanity exhibitions, artists who paid for wall space and opening night champagne, but pointing that out would only sound like jealousy. That's wonderful, I said instead, returning to my canvas. It really is. Of course, they were impressed by my connections. You know how the art world works, it's not just about talent, it's about who you know. She examined her manicure. Speaking of which, I ran into Professor Martinez at the Guggenheim benefit last week. He asked about you. Professor Martinez, our painting instructor who'd told me I had raw talent that needed refinement. The same professor who'd told Melissa she had connections that needed leveraging. He said it was a shame you'd given up on serious art, she added with false sympathy, but I told him you were happy with your crafts. Some people are meant to be professionals, others are meant to be hobbyists. There's room for both in the world. The email from Laurent burned in my phone. I knew I should wait until she left to read it, but her condescension was suffocating. Excuse me for a moment, I said, stepping to the window for better light and privacy. The email was brief and devastating in the best way. Ms. Chen, or should I say Enigma? Your identity may be hidden, but your talent is unmistakable. The Meridian Gallery is prepared to offer you our featured artist exhibition for the fall season. Furthermore, we have a collector interested in acquiring your entire Urban Metamorphosis series sight unseen, based solely on the portfolio images. Please call at your earliest convenience. The Meridian Gallery, the same venue that had launched careers of artists now hanging in MoMA, the gallery Melissa had been trying to get into for 5 years. Bad news? Melissa asked, noticing my stillness. Did someone return a print? I told you the market's oversaturated with amateur work. Just business, I murmured, sliding the phone into my pocket. She stood, brushing imaginary dust from her designer dress. Well, I should go. I have a meeting with real collectors, you know, the kind who buy originals, not prints, but keep practicing. Maybe someday you'll be ready for a group show at a community center or something. After she left, trailing perfume and put-downs, I called Laurent. Enigma, his voice was warm, excited. I hope you're sitting down. The collector, they want to remain anonymous for now, but they've offered $2 million for the complete series. 2 million, and that's before the exhibition even opens. I was, in fact, sitting down, on the floor, my legs having given out. There's more, he continued. They want to commission a companion series. Budget is, well, let's say unlimited. They were particularly drawn to your technique, something about the layering being reminiscent of the old masters but with contemporary urgency. The technique Melissa had just called spilled paint. We discussed details, the exhibition timeline, the press strategy, the careful maintenance of my anonymity until the opening night reveal. Laurent understood my need for privacy, having worked with other artists who preferred their work to speak first. One thing, he added before hanging up, the collector specifically mentioned they've been following your online sales. They're impressed by your business acumen as well as your artistry. Not many artists understand both sides of the market. My little Etsy shop, apparently, had caught the attention of someone with very deep pockets. The next few weeks passed in a blur of studio time and secret meetings. I continued my routine, working my day job, painting at night, enduring Melissa's periodic visits where she'd update me on her paid exhibition while critiquing my amateur techniques. You're still using those same colors, she observed one evening, wine glass in hand as she supervised my work. Real artists evolve their palette, but I suppose when you're just crafting for fun, consistency is safe. I thought about the collector who'd specifically praised my unique color theory, the way I layered transparencies to create depth that seemed to shift with viewing angle. And you're still not signing your work properly, she continued, though I suppose that's for the best. Wouldn't want people to associate you with real artists. It might confuse the market. The invitation came the week before her Westfield opening. The Meridian Gallery cordially invites you to Emergence, an anonymous master revealed. I left it on my kitchen counter when Melissa stopped by to borrow a dress for her opening. What's this? She picked up the heavy cardstock with its embossed lettering. Oh my God, you got invited to the Meridian Gallery? How? Must be a mailing list thing, I said vaguely. This is for the same night as my opening, she actually pouted. Well, you'll come to mine, of course. The Meridian will be full of pretentious collectors who wouldn't know real art if it. She stopped, reading further. Wait, an anonymous master? Someone's been selling work secretly? Apparently. She sniffed. Probably some gimmick. Real artists don't hide. We put ourselves out there, build our brands, like I have with the Westfield. The night arrived with Manhattan gleaming under September stars. I dressed carefully in a simple black dress, the kind that could belong to a guest or an artist, depending on the moment. Melissa had texted 12 times about her opening, each message more frantic about attendance. I'd promised to try to stop by after the Meridian event. The gallery was already packed when I arrived through the service entrance. Laurent met me in the back office, practically vibrating with excitement. The collector is here, he whispered. They still wish to remain anonymous, but they're very eager to meet you. And the press, every major critic is out there. The Times, Art Forum, even international journalists. Through the office door, I could see my work displayed with museum-quality lighting. The canvases I'd painted while Melissa mocked my hobby were now center stage at one of the most prestigious galleries in the city. Ready? Laurent asked. I thought about all the nights I'd painted through her condescension, all the techniques I'd developed while she attended parties, all the sales I'd made while she dismissed my crafts. Let's do this. The main gallery was a sea of black-clad figures, champagne flutes catching light like stars. I moved through them unrecognized, listening to critics dissect brush strokes Melissa had called accidents. The layering is extraordinary, one said. It takes years to develop this kind of technical mastery. The color theory is revolutionary, another agreed. I haven't seen anything like this since the Venetian masters. Then I spotted her. Melissa stood frozen in front of my largest piece, her phone held limply at her side. She was supposed to be at her own opening, but here she was, drawn by the same curiosity that made her an artist, even if she'd forgotten that in favor of networking. Impressive, isn't it? I said quietly, joining her. She startled. Jade, what are you? Never mind. Look at this. This is what real art looks like. The technique, the vision, the execution. This is why I keep telling you to aim higher with your little paintings. I studied my own work through her eyes, seeing what she couldn't, the same technique she'd mocked, elevated and refined. Though, she continued, unable to help herself, I think the artist is overthinking the complexity. Sometimes simple is better, like my work at the Westfield. You should really come see. Ladies and gentlemen, Laurent's voice commanded attention, the moment we've all been waiting for. Please welcome the artist behind these masterworks. Exhibiting publicly for the first time, Jade Chin. The spotlight found me before Melissa could process the words. I watched her face cycle through confusion, disbelief, and finally, horror as the crowd erupted in applause. But she stammered as photographers surrounded us. You can't be. This is your hobby, your crafts. Tonight's entire exhibition, Lauren announced over the noise, has been acquired by a single collector for a record-breaking sum. Every piece will remain together as a complete collection, a testament to the artist's extraordinary vision. Melissa's wine glass tilted, missed her lips entirely, and splashed Merlot down her designer dress. She didn't seem to notice. Furthermore, Lauren continued, we're thrilled to announce a commissioned series with an unlimited budget, ensuring Ms. Chen can continue developing her groundbreaking techniques. Critics approached with recorders, collectors with business cards, museum curators with exhibition offers, but I watched Melissa shrink into herself, her phone, usually documenting every moment, forgotten in her hand. You let me, she whispered when we had a moment alone. All those things I said. You said what you believed, I replied simply. You saw what you expected to see, a hobbyist playing with crafts. It was easier than looking closer. But your techniques, I called them accidents, spilled paint, beginner mistakes. I know. The painting by numbers comment. I remember. She stared at the red stain spreading across her dress like a wound. My opening at the Westfield. No one's there, are they? They're all here. For you. I thought about comforting her, about maintaining our friendship with pleasant lies, but I was tired of making myself smaller to accommodate her assumptions. Probably, I agreed, but then, the Westfield was always about who could pay for wall space, not who could paint. We both knew that. You just pretended otherwise. I'm a real artist too, she said weakly. Are you? I asked gently. When was the last time you painted something that wasn't calculated for maximum social media impact? When did you last take a risk with technique, push boundaries, create something that scared you? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. A collector approached, asking about my process. As I explained the layering technique Melissa had witnessed a dozen times without recognizing, I saw her slip away through the crowd, her wine-stained dress a flag of surrender. She texted me later that night, congratulations, I always knew you had potential. I didn't respond. We both knew that was a lie. She'd never seen potential, only a mirror that made her feel taller. The review in the Times the next morning called my work a revelation that challenges us to question how many hidden masters walk among us, dismissed by those too blind to see beyond their own assumptions. They ran a photo of me standing beside the piece Melissa had called spilled paint, now owned by someone who'd paid more than most people's houses for the privilege. But the real victory wasn't in the sales or reviews, it was in the studio the next morning, facing a fresh canvas without anyone's voice in my head telling me I was just a hobbyist with delusions. Sometimes the best art comes from silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of purpose, and sometimes, the sweetest vindication is painted in layers, each one covering the doubts others tried to instill, until all that remains is what was always there. Mastery, waiting for the right light to reveal it.
I should have known something was wrong when my sister wouldn't let me hold my own daughter. My name is Lisa, and I'm about to tell you the most devastating story of betrayal you'll ever hear. 3 months ago, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. Today, I'm sitting in a hotel room, legally barred from seeing the child I carried in my heart for 2 years. Let me back up. Lisa, honey, you need to stop torturing yourself. That's what my husband Luke said 18 months ago when I came home from yet another failed fertility appointment. Mascara streaked down my cheeks. Maybe we should consider other options. Other options? Like I hadn't already researched every possibility, spent our savings on treatments, turned our bedroom into a medical schedule. Luke meant well, I thought. He just didn't understand the ache that consumed me every time I saw a pregnant woman or heard a baby cry. I can't give up, I whispered that night, curled against his chest. I need this, Luke. I need to be a mother. He stroked my hair. I know, baby. I know. That's when my younger sister Amelia surprised us both. I'll do it, she announced over Sunday dinner at Mom's house. I'll be your surrogate. I nearly choked on my wine. Amelia, that's huge. You can't just... I'm serious. She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Lisa, you've wanted this for so long. I'm young, I'm healthy, and honestly, I want to help you have the family you deserve. Luke leaned forward. Amelia, that's incredibly generous, but nothing. Her eyes sparkled with determination. We're family. This is what family does. I started crying right there at the dinner table. Not the pretty tears you see in movies, but ugly, grateful sobs that came from somewhere deep in my chest. After 2 years of needles and disappointment, and watching Luke's enthusiasm slowly fade, someone was offering me hope. The next few months were a whirlwind of legal paperwork, medical appointments, and cautious excitement. Amelia moved into our guest room to make the process easier. She was perfect, took her vitamins religiously, went to every appointment, even gave up her beloved wine without complaint. You're going to be such an amazing mom, she'd say, rubbing her growing belly. This little one is so lucky. Luke seemed happier too. He'd come home from work with flowers for both of us, joke about having 2 pregnant women to take care of. Sometimes I'd catch him and Amelia talking quietly in the kitchen, and when I'd ask what about, they'd just smile. Baby stuff, Amelia would say. Luke's got so many ideas about the nursery. I should have paid attention to those whispered conversations. Should have noticed how they'd stop talking when I entered a room, or how Luke started working late more often after Amelia moved in. But I was so focused on the miracle growing inside my sister that I missed all the warning signs. The pregnancy was textbook perfect. Every ultrasound showed a healthy baby girl. I went to every appointment, held Amelia's hand during the difficult moments, and slowly let myself believe this was really happening. What are you going to name her? Amelia asked one evening, about a month before her due date. Raylan, I said immediately. Raylan Pierce. I've had that name picked out for years. She smiled, but something flickered across her face. That's beautiful. 3 weeks later, Amelia went into labor at 2 a.m. Luke and I rushed her to the hospital, and after 12 hours of labor, our daughter was born. She's perfect, the doctor said, placing the tiny, screaming bundle on Amelia's chest. Congratulations. I was crying again, but these were tears of pure joy. After everything we'd been through, she was finally here. My daughter, my miracle. Can I hold her? I asked, reaching out with trembling hands. That's when everything changed. Amelia pulled the baby closer to her chest and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Cold. Almost possessive. Actually, she said, her voice steady despite having just given birth, I think we need to talk. Luke stepped forward, and I noticed he wasn't looking at me with the joy I expected. Instead, his face wore the same strange expression as Amelia's. Lisa, he said quietly, there's something you need to know. The room suddenly felt freezing cold. What do you mean? Amelia shifted the baby, my baby, away from me. This isn't your daughter, Lisa. The words hit me like a physical blow. What are you talking about? Of course she's mine, Amelia said firmly. Ours, Luke's and mine. I looked back and forth between them, waiting for the punchline, for someone to tell me this was some kind of sick joke. Instead, Luke reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. You're being served, he said. Divorce papers and a restraining order. That's when I knew my life was about to become a nightmare. You can't be serious. My voice came out as a whisper. The hospital room felt like it was spinning. Luke's jaw was set in that stubborn way I knew too well. We're completely serious, Lisa. This baby was conceived naturally. Amelia and we've been together for months. Together? I grabbed the bed rail to steady myself. What do you mean together? Amelia adjusted the baby in her arms, looking almost bored. We fell in love, Lisa. It happens. During the surrogacy? While you were carrying my baby, Amelia interrupted. Luke and I have been sleeping together since I moved in. This pregnancy? It has nothing to do with your fertility treatments. The room tilted. I felt like I was going to vomit. That's impossible. We did the implantation. I was there. We all were there. Luke shrugged. The treatment didn't take. What did take was what happened between Amelia and me 3 days later. You're lying. I reached for the baby again. She's mine. I've been planning for her, preparing. Don't touch her. Amelia's voice turned sharp. Security! 2 hospital security guards appeared in the doorway like they'd been waiting outside. Ma'am, you need to step back, one of them said to me. Step back? This is my daughter, my husband. What is happening right now? Luke pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was him and Amelia, clearly intimate, clearly together. The timestamp showed it was taken 2 months ago. We didn't plan this, Lisa, but we can't help how we feel. How you feel? My voice was getting louder. Other patients were probably hearing this whole nightmare. You're my husband. She's my sister. Was your husband? Luke corrected. Those papers are real. I filed 3 weeks ago. One of the security guards stepped closer. Ma'am, if you don't calm down, we'll have to escort you out. Escort me out? I'm her mother. No, Amelia said firmly. You're not. I gave birth to her. Luke is her father. You're just the woman who couldn't have kids. The cruelty of that statement hit me like a slap. I stared at my sister, the woman who'd held my hand through every failed pregnancy test, who'd cried with me after every miscarriage. Amelia, please. This is insane. You can't just... I can do whatever I want with my own child. She looked down at the baby with genuine tenderness. Can't I, little Raylan? Don't call her that. That's the name I picked. And it's beautiful, Amelia smiled. That's why we're keeping it. Luke stepped forward with another envelope. This is a restraining order, Lisa. You can't come within 500 feet of us or the baby. Us? I looked back and forth between them. You're really doing this? Both of you? We're in love, Luke said simply. And we're a family now. What about our house? Our life? Everything we built? The house is in my name, Luke said. You have 48 hours to get your things. 48 hours? I felt like I was drowning. Luke, we've been married for 6 years. You can't just... I can, and I am. He looked at his watch. Actually, make that 47 hours now. The baby started crying, and Amelia immediately began soothing her. Shh. It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy's here. Mommy. She called herself Mommy. I need to call my lawyer, I said, fumbling for my phone. Good luck with that, Luke said. I've already spoken to Davidson. He's representing me now. Davidson was our family lawyer, the man who'd helped us with our wills, our house purchase, everything. He can't represent both of us in a divorce. He's not. He's representing me. You'll need to find your own attorney. I looked around the room desperately. This is insane. You're both insane. People don't just... This doesn't happen in real life. It's happening, Amelia said softly. Lisa, I'm sorry it has to be this way, but... Sorry? I stepped toward her, and both security guards tensed. You're sorry? You stole my husband and my baby, and you're sorry? I didn't steal anything. Luke chose me. And this baby was never yours to begin with. Ma'am, you need to leave now, the security guard said firmly. I'm not leaving without my daughter. She's not your daughter, Luke said. And if you don't leave voluntarily, they'll call the police. I looked at the baby one more time. She had Luke's dark hair and what looked like my nose. She was supposed to be mine. I'd imagined holding her, feeding her, watching her take her first steps. This isn't over, I said. Yes, it is, Amelia replied. It's very much over. The security guards escorted me out of the hospital room, down the hall, and into the elevator. Other visitors stared as I was walked out like a criminal. In the parking lot, I sat in my car and tried to process what had just happened. My husband was leaving me for my sister. They were claiming my surrogate baby was theirs. I was being kicked out of my own house. I reached into my purse for tissues and felt an envelope I didn't remember putting there. It was from the fertility clinic, marked confidential, urgent. I'd been so focused on the birth that I'd forgotten about it completely. With shaking hands, I tore it open. What I read inside changed everything. The letter was dated 3 days before Raylan's birth. I read it twice in my car before the words actually sank in. Due to a laboratory error in sample handling, we must inform you that the sperm sample used in your IVF procedure on March 15th was not from your designated partner, Luke Meyer. DNA analysis confirms you are the biological mother of the resulting pregnancy. We urgently need to discuss this matter. Please contact Dr. Hamilton immediately. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the paper. Luke wasn't the father, but I was definitely the mother. I drove straight to my best friend Yvette's apartment, probably breaking several traffic laws. She opened the door in her pajamas, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. Jesus, Lisa, what happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. They took her. The words tumbled out between sobs. Luke and Amelia. They took my baby and they're saying she's theirs and they served me divorce papers right there in the hospital room. What? Slow down. Start from the beginning. I told her everything. The betrayal, the restraining order, being escorted out by security. Yvette's face went from confused to horrified to furious. Those absolute pieces of shit, she said when I finished. Your own sister? And Luke? God, I never liked him. But this... There's more. I handed her the letter from the clinic. She read it, her eyes getting wider. Lisa, do you understand what this means? It means Luke isn't Raylan's biological father. But they don't know that. It means you have proof that baby is yours. Legally, biologically, completely yours. I wiped my eyes. But how do I prove Luke and Amelia are lying about their relationship? What if they really were sleeping together? What if... Lisa, stop. Think about this logically. If they were really having an affair and she got pregnant naturally, why would they go through with the surrogacy procedure at all? She was right. It didn't make sense. I need to call someone, a lawyer who isn't Davidson. I know someone, Yvette said immediately. Evelyn. She's a family law attorney and she's ruthless. I'll call her right now. 20 minutes later, we were sitting in Evelyn's office. She was a sharp-looking woman in her 40s, with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. Show me everything, she said. I handed over the divorce papers, the restraining order, and the clinic letter. Evelyn read through them methodically, making notes. This is interesting, she said finally. Very interesting. Lisa, I need you to think carefully. During the months Amelia was staying with you, did you notice anything unusual? Any changes in behavior, routine, anything at all? They would whisper sometimes. Stop talking when I came into rooms. Luke started working late more often. Did you ever see them being physically affectionate? I thought about it. Not really. I mean, Luke would bring flowers for both of us, but he was always like that. Thoughtful. What about Amelia? Did her behavior toward you change? She seemed, I don't know, more confident maybe? Like she had a secret, but I thought it was just excitement about the baby. Evelyn made more notes. I'm going to need you to write down everything you can remember. Every conversation, every strange moment, every detail. Can you do that? Yes, but what about the restraining order? I can't even see my daughter. We're going to challenge that immediately. And Lisa, Evelyn leaned forward. I want you to be prepared. If what I suspect is true, this is going to get very ugly before it gets better. What do you suspect? I suspect your sister and husband planned this from the beginning. The question is how far back the planning goes and what evidence they might have fabricated. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Lisa, it's Bianca, Amelia's friend. Can we meet? There are things you need to know. I showed the text to Evelyn and Yvette. Don't respond yet, Evelyn said. This could be a setup, or it could be exactly what we need. What do you mean? If Amelia confided in her friend, Bianca might have information that could help us. But we need to be careful. Meet her in a public place and record everything. Is that legal? In this state, yes. As long as one party consents to the recording. That would be you. I texted Bianca back. Coffee shop on 5th Street, 1 hour. I'm coming with you, Yvette said. No, Evelyn interrupted. Lisa should go alone. If Bianca sees other people, she might get spooked and not talk. An hour later, I was sitting across from Bianca in a crowded coffee shop. She looked nervous, kept glancing around like she expected someone to jump out at us. I shouldn't be doing this, she said quietly. Doing what? Talking to you. Amelia would kill me if she knew. Bianca, what's going on? Please, I need to understand what happened. She took a deep breath. Amelia's been planning this for months, Lisa. Maybe longer. Planning what exactly? Getting Luke to leave you. Taking over your life. She pulled out her phone. I have screenshots of our text conversations. She told me everything. My heart was pounding. Show me. She scrolled through her phone and turned it toward me. The messages were from 3 months ago. Amelia, it's working. Luke's completely hooked. Bianca, are you sure about this? Lisa's your sister. Amelia, Lisa's had everything handed to her. The successful career, the perfect husband, the nice house. It's my turn, Bianca. But the baby, Amelia, will be mine. Luke doesn't even want kids with Lisa anymore. He told me himself. I felt sick reading it, but I forced myself to keep looking. There's more, Bianca said quietly, about the fertility clinic. What about it? Amelia knew someone there, someone who owed her a favor. The room started spinning again. What kind of favor? I think, Bianca said, she might have arranged for the mix-up herself. What do you mean she arranged the mix-up? My coffee cup was shaking in my hands. Bianca looked around nervously again. There's this guy, Dante. He owns the fertility clinic where you had your treatments done. Amelia dated him for like 6 months last year. Dated him? She never mentioned dating anyone named Dante. Because she didn't want anyone to know. He's older, married, has kids. It was this whole secret thing. Bianca pulled up more screenshots. Look at this. The message was from 2 weeks before my IVF procedure. Amelia, Dante owes me big time. I'm calling in that favor. Bianca, what favor? Amelia, let's just say his wife doesn't know about our little arrangement or the money he's been skimming from the clinic. I stared at the phone. She was blackmailing him? That's what it sounds like. And Lisa? There's something else. Something worse. Worse than this? Bianca hesitated. The baby, Raylan. I don't think Luke is the father either. What do you mean? The clinic letter said, I don't think Amelia and Luke were ever really sleeping together. Not the way they're claiming. My head was spinning. But they said they were in love, that they'd been having an affair or... It's all fake, Lisa. Amelia told me the whole plan. She was going to seduce Luke after the baby was born, make him think he was the father, and then they'd kick you out together. But the photo Luke showed me, they looked intimate. Amelia's good with Photoshop and staging photos. Bianca scrolled through more messages. Look at this one from last week. Amelia, Luke's so stupid. He actually believes the baby is his. Men are so easy to manipulate when you stroke their ego. I felt like I was going to be sick. So if Luke isn't the father and the clinic mixed up the samples, then who? I think, Bianca said quietly, it might be Dante himself. The coffee shop suddenly felt too loud, too crowded. Are you saying Dante used his own sperm? I'm saying Amelia had a lot of control over what happened at that clinic. And she's been obsessed with having a baby that looked like family. What better way than to use someone she was sleeping with? I pulled out my phone and called Evelyn. I need to see you right now, I said. when she answered, and we need to get to that fertility clinic today. An hour later, Evelyn and I were sitting in the waiting room of Hamilton Fertility Services. The receptionist had told us Dr. Hamilton was with a patient, but Evelyn had insisted it was urgent legal business. Mrs. Meyer? A tall man in his late 30s appeared. He was handsome in that polished, professional way, but his eyes looked nervous. I'm Dr. Hamilton. I understand you have some concerns about your recent treatment. We have concerns about a lot of things, Evelyn said smoothly. Perhaps we could speak privately? In his office, Evelyn laid out the clinic's letter about the sample mix-up. Dr. Hamilton, my client received this letter 3 days ago. We need to know exactly what happened and who was responsible. Dante's face went pale. This is highly unusual. Patient confidentiality doesn't apply when there's been medical malpractice, Evelyn interrupted, and possibly fraud. Fraud? I don't understand. I leaned forward. Dante, I know about you and Amelia. He went completely white. I don't know what you're talking about. We have text messages, Evelyn said. Screenshots of conversations between Amelia and her friend discussing your, arrangement. Dante's hands were shaking now. What do you want? The truth, I said. Whose sperm was actually used in my procedure? He was quiet for a long moment, staring at his hands. This could ruin me, my marriage, my practice, everything. Your marriage is already over if this comes out in court, Evelyn said matter-of-factly. Your practice, too. But if you cooperate now, we might be able to work something out. Amelia came to me 6 months ago, he said finally. She said she wanted to help her sister, but she also wanted compensation. What kind of compensation? Money. And she wanted to ensure the baby would be genetically related to your family. My stomach dropped. So you used your own sample. She convinced me it was the best option. Said you'd never have to know, that she'd raise the baby as her own anyway. But that's not what happened, Evelyn said. She's claiming the baby was conceived naturally with Lisa's husband. Dante looked confused. That's impossible. I know for certain the pregnancy resulted from the IVF procedure. I personally handled the sample preparation. So you're the biological father, I said. Yes, and I have the DNA records to prove it. Evelyn was taking notes rapidly. Dr. Hamilton, we're going to need copies of all records related to this case. Patient confidentiality is waived when fraud is involved. There's something else, Dante said quietly. Amelia recorded our conversations. She said it was insurance, in case I ever tried to back out of our agreement. She was blackmailing you? Essentially, yes. She threatened to tell my wife about our relationship and report the financial irregularities she discovered in our billing. What financial irregularities? Evelyn asked sharply. I've been adjusting some insurance claims. Nothing major, just enough to cover some personal expenses. Evelyn and I exchanged glances. This was getting bigger by the minute. Dr. Hamilton, Evelyn said, I strongly suggest you get your own attorney. This situation is about to become very complicated. As we left the clinic, I felt a mix of vindication and horror. I had proof that Raylan was my biological daughter, but the web of lies and manipulation was deeper than I'd imagined. What happens now? I asked Evelyn. Now we prepare for war, she said, because when Amelia and Luke realize what we know, they're going to fight dirty. My phone buzzed with another text from Bianca. Emergency. Amelia knows I talked to you. She's planning something big for tomorrow. Meet me tonight. Same place. I showed the text to Evelyn. This is escalating fast, she said. Are you ready for what's coming? I thought about my daughter, about the lies that had been told, about the family that had betrayed me. I'm ready, I said. Let's destroy them. Bianca was already at our table when I arrived at the coffee shop that evening. She looked terrified, constantly checking her phone and glancing toward the door. She knows, Bianca said the moment I sat down. Amelia knows I've been talking to you. How? I was stupid. I left my phone unlocked when I went to the bathroom at her place. She saw our text thread. Bianca's hands were shaking. Lisa, she went crazy, started screaming about loyalty and family and how I was ruining everything. What did you tell her? Nothing. I swear I didn't tell her what we discussed, but she knows something's up. Bianca pulled out a small recording device. That's why I called you. She made a phone call right after she confronted me. I recorded it. She pressed play. Amelia's voice came through clearly. Luke, we have a problem. Someone's been talking to Lisa. No, I don't know how much she knows, but we need to move faster. Tomorrow? Are you sure the paperwork is ready? Good. Once it's filed, she won't be able to do anything about it. The recording continued. What about Dante? Have you talked to him? He better keep his mouth shut or he'll lose everything. I don't care if he's nervous. He's in this as deep as we are. My blood went cold. What paperwork is she talking about? I don't know, but there's more. Bianca fast-forwarded the recording. The adoption papers will make it official. Once I'm legally Raylan's mother and you're the father, Lisa can fight all she wants. We'll have custody, the house, everything. No, she can't prove anything. Who's going to believe her crazy story about sample mix-ups? I grabbed Bianca's arm. Adoption papers? What adoption papers? She's been forging documents, Bianca whispered, making it look like you agreed to give up parental rights as part of the surrogacy contract. That's impossible. I never signed anything like that. She's good with computers, Lisa. Really good. And she has access to your signatures from all the legitimate surrogacy paperwork. I immediately called Evelyn. They're filing adoption papers tomorrow. Forged ones. Meet me at my office in 20 minutes, Evelyn said, and bring Bianca. At Evelyn's office, we played the full recording. Evelyn's expression grew darker with each revelation. This is conspiracy to commit fraud, she said when it finished. Multiple felonies. Bianca, are you willing to testify to how you obtained this recording? Will I get in trouble? Possibly. But Lisa's the victim here, and you're helping expose a serious crime. Most prosecutors would offer you immunity in exchange for cooperation. Bianca nodded reluctantly. Okay, I'll do it. Good. Now, Lisa, we need to file an emergency motion first thing tomorrow morning. We're going to stop this adoption before it happens. What if we're too late? We won't be. I'm calling Judge Morrison tonight. She owes me a favor, and she doesn't tolerate fraud in her courtroom. My phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. Don't answer it, Evelyn said. Let it go to voicemail. The voicemail notification popped up immediately. I put it on speaker. Lisa, it's Dante. You need to know something. Amelia just called me. She's threatening to release recordings of our conversations if I don't back up her story about the baby being Luke's. She wants me to falsify medical records. I can't do this anymore. Call me back. Evelyn was already dialing. Dr. Hamilton, this is Evelyn Montgomery, Lisa's attorney. We need to meet immediately. No, it can't wait until tomorrow. Tonight. An hour later, we were back at the fertility clinic. Dante looked like he hadn't slept in days. She's completely lost it, he said. Amelia called me 3 times today. She wants me to create fake records showing that the IVF procedure failed and that any pregnancy would have to be natural. Can you do that? I asked. Technically, yes, but it would be destroying evidence and falsifying medical records. I could lose my license and go to prison. What exactly is she threatening you with? Evelyn asked. Dante pulled out his phone. She recorded us having sex multiple times. She's threatening to send the videos to my wife and post them online if I don't cooperate. That's revenge porn, Evelyn said immediately. Also illegal. Dr. Hamilton, you're a victim here too. But my wife? My kids? If this comes out? If you help Amelia commit fraud, it's going to come out anyway, I said. At least this way. You're on the right side. Dante was quiet for a long moment. What do you need from me? The real medical records, Evelyn said. All of them. And I want you to document every conversation you've had with Amelia, every threat she's made. I can do that, but there's something else you should know. Dante looked directly at me. The baby, Raylan, she's definitely mine biologically. But Lisa, you're absolutely her mother. The DNA markers are unmistakable. So legally, you have full parental rights. Amelia has no biological connection to the child, and Luke isn't the father despite what they're claiming. Evelyn was writing furiously. This is perfect. Dr. Hamilton, I need you to prepare a full report with DNA analysis, medical records, everything. Can you have it ready by tomorrow morning? Yes, but what about Amelia's threats? Let her make them, Evelyn said coldly. Every threat she makes is another felony charge. As we left the clinic, Bianca grabbed my arm. Lisa, there's one more thing. Something I didn't want to say in front of your lawyer. What? Amelia's been planning this for over a year. She has a whole folder on her computer labeled Project Lisa. It has financial records, copies of your personal documents, even photos of your house with notes about what she wants to change. I felt sick. She's been planning to steal my entire life. Not just planning. She told me once that you didn't deserve what you had, that you were weak and she was stronger, so she should have your life instead. My own sister, I whispered. She's not the person you think she is, Lisa. She never was. My phone buzzed with a text from Luke. Hope you enjoyed your last day of freedom. Tomorrow everything becomes official. You should have just accepted that some women aren't meant to be mothers. I showed the text to Evelyn. Screenshot that, she said. We're going to use every piece of evidence they give us. Are we really going to win this? Evelyn's smile was sharp as a blade. Lisa, by the time I'm done with them, they're going to wish they'd never heard your name. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow we go to war, and we're going to destroy them completely. The courthouse was packed. Word had somehow gotten out about the case, and reporters were lined up outside. I walked in with Evelyn, trying to ignore the cameras flashing. Luke and Amelia were already seated at the defendant's table with their lawyer. Amelia was holding Raylan, playing the perfect mother for the cameras. Luke had his arm around her protectively. They both looked confident, almost smug. All rise for the Honorable Judge Morrison. Judge Morrison was a stern-looking woman in her 50s. She surveyed the packed courtroom with obvious displeasure. This is a custody hearing, not a circus, she announced. I will clear this courtroom if there are any disruptions. Luke's lawyer, a slick-looking man named Peterson, stood up first. Your Honor, this is a simple case. My clients, Luke and Amelia, are the biological parents of baby Raylan. Ms. Lisa was the surrogate, but the pregnancy occurred naturally during the surrogacy period. My clients are seeking full custody and asking that Ms. Lisa's harassment cease. Harassment? Judge Morrison looked at the paperwork. There's a restraining order in place? Yes, Your Honor. Miss Lisa has been unstable since the birth. She's been stalking my clients and making wild accusations about the baby's parentage. I wanted to jump up and scream, but Evelyn put a firm hand on my arm. Miss Montgomery? Judge Morrison looked at Evelyn. Your Honor, my client is the biological mother of this child. We have DNA evidence, medical records, and proof of an elaborate fraud perpetrated by the defendants. Peterson laughed. Your Honor, Ms. Lisa is clearly having difficulty accepting that she cannot have children. This fantasy about being the biological mother is a delusion. It's not a delusion, Evelyn said calmly. Dr. Hamilton from Hamilton Fertility Services is here to testify. Dante stood up from the gallery, looking nervous but determined. Peterson's confident expression faltered. Your Honor, we weren't informed that Dr. Hamilton would be testifying. Because you didn't know we had him, Evelyn replied smoothly. Dr. Hamilton, please approach the witness stand. As Dante was sworn in, I watched Luke and Amelia's faces. Luke looked confused, but Amelia had gone completely pale. Dr. Hamilton, Evelyn began, you performed the IVF procedure on Lisa on March 15th, correct? Yes. And what was the result of that procedure? The procedure was successful. Ms. Lisa became pregnant with the child in question. Peterson jumped up. Objection! The defendants have medical records showing the procedure failed. What medical records? Judge Morrison asked. Peterson fumbled through his papers. They're being prepared. Dr. Hamilton, Evelyn continued, whose sperm was used in the procedure. Dante took a deep breath. Mine. The courtroom erupted. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Order. Dr. Hamilton, please explain. I was coerced by Amelia Freeman into using my own genetic material instead of her sister's husband's sample. Coerced how? She was blackmailing me with recordings of our sexual relationship and evidence of financial irregularities at my clinic. Amelia shot to her feet. He's lying. Your Honor, he's obviously been paid to say this. Ms. Freeman, sit down, Judge Morrison ordered. Dr. Hamilton, do you have proof of this alleged blackmail? Evelyn approached the bench with a folder. Your Honor, we have recorded conversations between Dr. Hamilton and Ms. Freeman, as well as text messages between Ms. Freeman and her friend Bianca, detailing the entire conspiracy. I want to hear these recordings. The first recording played through the courtroom speakers. Amelia's voice was crystal clear. Dante, you're going to do exactly what I tell you, or your wife gets a very interesting video collection. Luke turned to stare at Amelia, his face a mask of shock and betrayal. The second recording was even more damning. The plan is working perfectly. Luke thinks he's the father, Lisa will be out of the picture, and I'll have everything she ever had. Your Honor, Peterson said desperately, these recordings could be fabricated. Mr. Peterson, Judge Morrison interrupted, I suggest you let your clients speak for themselves. Ms. Freeman, do you deny making these statements? Amelia's lawyer whispered frantically in her ear, but she pushed him away. She doesn't deserve any of it, Amelia screamed, pointing at me. Lisa's had everything handed to her. The perfect job, the perfect husband, the perfect house. She couldn't even get pregnant on her own. Amelia, shut up, Luke hissed. No, I'm tired of pretending. She's weak and pathetic, and I'm stronger. I should have her life. Judge Morrison's expression was ice cold. Ms. Freeman, are you admitting to fraud? I'm admitting that I took what should have been mine. Luke buried his face in his hands. His lawyer was frantically scribbling notes. Your Honor, Evelyn said, we also have evidence that Ms. Freeman forged adoption documents to try to steal legal custody of the child. That's impossible, Peterson protested. We filed those documents in good faith. You filed forged documents, Evelyn interrupted. Documents with Lisa's signature copied from legitimate surrogacy paperwork. Bianca stood up in the gallery. Your Honor, I have recordings of Amelia admitting to forging those documents. Bianca, you bitch! Amelia lunged toward the gallery, but the bailiff caught her. Ms. Freeman, you will control yourself or be held in contempt, Judge Morrison warned. Luke finally spoke up. Your Honor, I didn't know. I thought the baby was mine. Amelia told me they were having an affair, that the pregnancy was natural. Mr. Luke, Judge Morrison said, are you saying you were also deceived? Yes. I never would have. If I'd known she was lying about everything. Amelia spun around to face him. You coward. You were happy to go along with it when you thought you were getting a free baby and a younger woman. I thought you loved me. I used you, you idiot. Just like I used everyone else. The courtroom was in chaos. Judge Morrison banged her gavel repeatedly. Bailiff, remove Miss Freeman from my courtroom. She's being held in contempt. As Amelia was dragged away, still screaming, she turned back to me. This isn't over, Lisa. You think you've won, but you have no idea what's coming. Judge Morrison waited until the courtroom was quiet again. Based on the evidence presented, I'm immediately awarding full custody of the minor child to Lisa, the biological mother. The restraining order is dissolved. Mr. Peterson, I suggest your remaining client find new representation, because charges are going to be filed. Luke sat alone at the defendant's table, looking completely broken. Your Honor, Evelyn said, we're also seeking immediate return of all property fraudulently taken from my client. Granted, Bailiff, please escort Ms. Lisa to retrieve her daughter. As I walked toward the front of the courtroom, Luke looked up at me with tears in his eyes. Lisa, I'm sorry. I didn't know she was lying about everything. I stopped and looked down at him. You knew enough, Luke. You knew enough. Then I took my daughter in my arms for the first time, and she was finally, truly mine. The media circus outside the courthouse was insane. Reporters shoved microphones in my face as I carried Raylan to Evelyn's car. Lisa, how does it feel to get your daughter back? Will you be pressing charges against your sister? What's next for your family? Evelyn pushed through the crowd. No comment. My client needs privacy during this difficult time. Once we were safely in her car, I finally let myself breathe. Raylan was sleeping peacefully in the car seat we'd brought, completely unaware that her entire world had just changed. The house keys, Evelyn said, handing me a set. The judge ordered Luke to vacate immediately. He's staying at a hotel until he can find somewhere permanent. What about Amelia? She's being held pending bail hearing. The DA is filing multiple felony charges: fraud, forgery, conspiracy, blackmail. She's looking at serious prison time. My phone had been buzzing constantly, text after text from numbers I didn't recognize. Don't read those yet, Evelyn warned. Let me screen them first. Some are probably reporters, but others might be threats. Threats? Lisa, you just exposed a major conspiracy. Some people are going to see you as the villain who destroyed a family. We pulled into my driveway again. The house looked exactly the same from the outside, but I knew everything inside would be different. Yvette was waiting on the front porch with grocery bags and a huge smile. Welcome home, she said, hugging me carefully so I wouldn't wake the baby. I stocked the fridge and set up the nursery again. Everything's ready. Inside, the house felt strange. Luke and Amelia had clearly been living here as a couple. Their photos were on the mantel where mine used to be. Amelia's clothes were in my closet. We'll deal with all that later, Yvette said, seeing my expression. Right now, let's focus on getting you and Raylan settled. The nursery broke my heart. It was exactly as I designed it, but there were signs that Amelia had been preparing to make it hers. A different mobile, new curtains, even a nameplate that said Raylan Freeman instead of Raylan Pierce. She really thought she was going to take over my entire life, I said. But she didn't, Evelyn said firmly. You fought back, and you won. My phone rang. It was my mother. Lisa? Honey, I just saw the news. Is it true? About Amelia and Luke? It's all true, Mom. I can't believe it. My own daughter. How could she do this to you? To our family? I don't know, Mom. I really don't know. Your father and I are driving down tomorrow. We want to see our granddaughter and make sure you're okay. After I hung up, Evelyn showed me her phone. The story's already going viral. Course Rights Justice for Lisa is trending on Twitter. The headlines were brutal. Sister steals baby and husband in elaborate fraud scheme. Fertility clinic doctor admits to genetic deception. Woman fights back against ultimate betrayal. This is good for your case, Evelyn said, but it's going to make your life complicated for a while. That evening, after Evelyn and Yvette left, I was alone with Raylan for the first time. She was awake, looking up at me with those dark eyes that were definitely Dante's. Hi, baby girl, I whispered. I'm your mama. I'm so sorry it took so long for us to be together. She made a small sound and grabbed my finger with her tiny hand. My phone rang again. This time it was Luke. Lisa, please, can we talk? There's nothing to talk about, Luke. I know you hate me, and you have every right to, but I need you to know that I really thought Amelia and I were in love. I thought the baby was mine. You threw me out of my own house, Luke. You served me with divorce papers in a hospital room. You humiliated me in front of everyone. I know, I was an idiot. Amelia was so convincing and I wanted to believe her. Why? Why did you want to believe her? There was a long pause, because she made me feel important again, like I mattered. We'd been trying to have a baby for so long, and every month when it didn't happen, I felt like more of a failure. So you decided to steal someone else's baby? I didn't know it was stealing. I thought it was mine. But you knew you were stealing my life, my house, my money, my family. Lisa, please. I lost everything too. My job fired me. My family won't speak to me. I'm all over the news as the guy who helped steal a baby. Good, I said and hung up. 20 minutes later, someone was pounding on my front door. I looked through the peephole and saw Dante. Lisa, I need to talk to you, he called through the door. I opened it reluctantly. What do you want? I wanted to apologize and to ask, can I see her? Just once? She's sleeping. I know I have no rights. I know what I did was wrong, but she's my biological daughter, and I need to see that she's okay. I looked at this man who had helped destroy my life, but also, inadvertently, given me the greatest gift I'd ever received. 5 minutes, I said. That's all. He followed me to the nursery and stood over Raylan's crib, tears streaming down his face. She's beautiful, he whispered. She looks like my other kids did when they were born. Your other kids? I have 2 sons with my wife. Had. She filed for divorce this morning. I'm sorry. No, you're not. And you shouldn't be. I made my choices. He looked at me. Lisa, I want you to know that I'm setting up a trust fund for her, for college, whatever she needs. It's the least I can do. That's not necessary. Yes, it is. And Lisa, if Amelia ever gets out of prison, if she ever tries to contact you or hurt you, call me. I'll handle it. After he left, I sat in the nursery rocking chair, holding my daughter and thinking about the wreckage left behind. Luke's career was over. Amelia was facing years in prison. Dante had lost his family. The fertility clinic was under investigation. All because my sister couldn't stand that I had something she wanted. My phone buzzed with one more text. This one from an unknown number. Congratulations on your victory. But this isn't over. Some secrets are bigger than you think. A friend. I stared at the message, feeling a chill run down my spine. What secrets could possibly be bigger than what we'd already uncovered? The anonymous text haunted me for 3 days. I'd shown it to Evelyn, who'd immediately contacted the police, but they said there wasn't much they could do about a vague threat from an unknown number. It's probably just some internet troll who read about the case, Evelyn assured me. Don't let it get to you. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Every time I left the house with Raylan, I felt eyes on me. Every creak in the house at night made me jump. On Thursday morning, I got my answer. I was feeding Raylan when the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a woman I didn't recognize, middle-aged, well-dressed, with the same dark hair as Dante. Can I help you? I called through the door. My name is Patricia Hamilton. I'm Dante's wife. We need to talk. I opened the door cautiously. Mrs. Hamilton, I'm sorry about everything that happened with your husband. I had no idea. That's not why I'm here. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in days. May I come in? What I have to tell you? It's not safe to discuss on your doorstep. Something in her voice made me step aside. She followed me to the living room, where Raylan was in her bouncer. Patricia stared at the baby for a long moment. She does look like my boys did at that age. Mrs. Hamilton, what did you want to tell me? She pulled out a thick manila envelope. I've been going through Dante's files since the trial. There are things that didn't come out in court. What kind of things? Amelia wasn't his only victim. There were other women, other procedures where samples were switched. Patricia's hands were shaking. Lisa, your sister didn't just target you. She was running a much bigger operation. I felt the blood drain from my face. What do you mean? Amelia was selling babies. Rich couples who wanted children with specific genetic traits women who couldn't afford fertility treatments but were willing to be surrogates. She was matching them up and taking money from both sides. That's impossible. Patricia opened the envelope and spread documents across my coffee table. Bank records showing payments from at least 12 different couples, medical records from other fertility clinics, email exchanges discussing genetic compatibility and premium pricing. I stared at the papers. How many babies? Oh, at least 8 that I can prove. Maybe more. Patricia pointed to one of the bank statements. Look at this deposit. $50,000, 2 days after a baby was born to a surrogate in California. Why are you telling me this? Why not go to the police? Because I tried. They said the evidence was obtained illegally since I took it from Dante's private files. But you're already involved in this case. You have standing to bring this information forward. My phone rang. It was Evelyn. Lisa, you need to get down here right now. Amelia's lawyer is trying to cut a deal, and there's something you need to hear. I'll be right there. I hung up and looked at Patricia. Come with me. Bring everything. At the courthouse, Evelyn met us in the hallway outside the DA's office. What's going on? I asked. Amelia's claiming she has information about a larger conspiracy. She wants to trade it for a reduced sentence. She's not lying, Patricia said, holding up the envelope. But she's not the victim she's pretending to be. She was the ringleader. We went into the DA's office where Amelia sat with her lawyer. She looked terrible. Orange jumpsuit, no makeup, her hair unwashed. When she saw me, her eyes filled with hatred. Lisa, she said coldly, still playing the victim, I see. Ms. Freeman, the DA said, you claim to have information about other crimes. Let's hear it. I was being blackmailed, Amelia said, forced to participate in a baby trafficking ring. I have names, dates, financial records. That's a lie, Patricia said, stepping forward. I have proof that you were running the operation. Amelia's face went white when she saw Patricia. What is she doing here? Exposing the truth, Patricia said, dumping the contents of her envelope on the table. Every transaction, every forged document, every stolen baby. It's all here. The DA picked up the bank records. Ms. Freeman, these show payments going into accounts under your name. Those were planted. I was being framed. By who? Evelyn asked. You're claiming someone set up an elaborate frame job that included blackmailing your sister's fertility doctor and stealing her baby? Amelia's lawyer whispered frantically in her ear, but she pushed him away. Fine, she screamed. Yes, I did it. I organized the whole thing, but Lisa deserved it. She had everything and I had nothing. So you decided to steal babies and sell them? The DA asked. I gave those babies to families who could afford to love them properly, unlike Lisa, who couldn't even get pregnant without help. The room was silent. Even Amelia's lawyer looked stunned. Ms. Freeman, the DA said quietly, you just confessed to human trafficking. The deal is off the table. As they led Amelia away, she turned back to me one last time. You think you've won, but you'll never be safe. There are people involved in this who won't let it end here. Is that a threat? The DA asked. It's a promise. 2 weeks later, the FBI raided fertility clinics in 6 states. The baby trafficking ring Amelia had been running was bigger than anyone imagined. 12 babies had been stolen and sold. 8 couples were arrested for buying children. 4 doctors lost their licenses. Dante cooperated fully with the investigation and received a reduced sentence. Patricia and I testified at every trial, helping to reunite stolen children with their biological parents. The anonymous text messages stopped after Amelia was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. I'm writing this now, sitting in my living room while Raylan naps in her crib. She's 6 months old, healthy and happy, and completely mine. The house is quiet, peaceful in a way it never was when Luke lived here. My parents visit every weekend. Yvette comes by almost daily. Even Bianca stops by sometimes. She's in therapy now, trying to process how completely Amelia manipulated her. Luke moved across the country. He sends child support payments and a birthday card, but he's never asked to see Raylan. I think he's too ashamed. The trust fund Dante set up for Raylan now has contributions from all the families whose children were returned. It should be enough to pay for college and then some. People ask me if I regret fighting back, if the revenge was worth it. They want me to say I feel guilty about destroying so many lives. I don't. Amelia didn't just steal my baby. She stole babies from dozens of families. She destroyed lives for profit. She deserved everything that happened to her. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't found that letter from the fertility clinic, if I just accepted that my sister and husband had betrayed me and moved on. Those other stolen babies would still be with the wrong families. Those other mothers would still be grieving children they thought were lost forever. Justice isn't always pretty, but it's necessary, and now, finally, it's done.
The letter sat on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Dad's precise handwriting on cream stationery, the family crest embossed in gold, a reminder of everything I'd earned but would never receive. My hands shook as I reread the words that had shattered my Sunday morning. After careful consideration, I've decided to transfer the majority of the inheritance to Olivia, in light of her upcoming wedding. Coffee grew cold beside me as I traced each perfectly formed letter. The same meticulous strokes Dad had used to teach me cursive when I was 7, spending hours practicing together while Olivia played outside. Now those familiar loops spelled out my betrayal. "Jasmine, you there?" Alyssa's voice crackled through my phone speaker. I'd forgotten I'd called her. "He's giving it all to her." My voice sounded hollow, disconnected. "The tech company shares, the summer house, everything Mom left for both of us. He's just giving it away." "That can't be legal. Your mom's will was changed 6 months ago." The paper crumpled in my fist. Dad convinced her while she was sick, said it was best for the family. I could still see Mom's face in those final weeks, pale and drawn, but smiling as she signed the papers Dad brought. "Trust your father," she'd whispered. "He knows what's best." My phone buzzed with an incoming text. "Olivia, did you get Dad's letter? Can we talk?" I switched off the screen without responding. The same sister who'd sworn we'd always share everything equally was now silent partner to this theft. The same sister whose wedding I'd helped plan for months, spending countless nights reviewing venues and tasting cakes, never suspecting what was coming. "I can't believe she knew," I told Alyssa. "All those wedding meetings, all those sister brunches. She sat there planning my financial execution over mimosas." Maybe she didn't. Oh, she knew. The memory surfaced of last week's cake tasting, Olivia's slight smirk when Dad mentioned the family business. I'd attributed it to wedding excitement. Now that smirk burned in my mind like a brand. "I'm coming over," Alyssa declared. "No, I need to think." I hung up before she could argue. My laptop hummed to life as I pulled up the company financials. 10 years I'd spent building the cybersecurity division from scratch, transforming it from Dad's struggling tech consulting firm into an industry leader. Olivia had barely set foot in the office, too busy finding herself through 3 different graduate programs. Another text from Olivia. "Please don't be mad. Dad says this is best for everyone. Best for everyone." The same words he'd used when giving Olivia my childhood bedroom because she needs more space for her art, when paying for her semester abroad while I worked through college, when promoting her boyfriend Oliver to senior management despite his complete lack of qualifications, the familiar ache of being the responsible daughter, the reliable one, the one who never quite measured up despite doing everything right, twisted into something darker, something that tasted like bile and burned like revenge. My phone rang, Dad's number. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing his script. He'd explain his reasoning with that patronizing patience, remind me that family comes first, tell me to be happy for my sister's special time. But as I stared at the blinking cursor on my screen, at the network architecture I'd built with my own hands, a different future began taking shape. Dad had taught me everything about the company's systems, every password, every backdoor, every vulnerability. He'd trusted his reliable daughter with all the keys to the kingdom. "Trust your father," Mom had said. But she never saw this coming. My fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up account access logs and security protocols. Years of being the perfect daughter, the responsible one, the one who never questioned Dad's decisions. It ended today. They wanted to take what was mine? Fine. But they'd forgotten who actually controlled the digital heart of this company. The cursor blinked, waiting for my command. One keystroke could start an avalanche they'd never see coming. My phone buzzed again. Probably Olivia with more placating texts, or Dad with his reasonable explanations. I ignored it, focused on the screen. "You taught me too well, Dad," I whispered, beginning to type. The familiar thrill of coding tingled through my fingers. But this time, it wasn't about building. This time, I was going to show them exactly what the reliable daughter could do when pushed too far. I hit enter, and the first domino fell. The code ran silently in the background, while I stared at my reflection in the office bathroom mirror. Same crisp blazer, same carefully styled hair, same mask of professional competence. No one passing me in the halls would guess I'd just planted the seeds of digital chaos in our network. My phone vibrated. Olivia again. 14 missed calls since yesterday. I switched it to silent and practiced my smile, the one that said everything was fine. Just another Monday at the office. "There you are!" Lucas appeared in the doorway, tablet in hand. "The quarterly security audit is due, and marketing needs access to—" He stopped, studying my face. "You okay?" I forced my smile wider. "Never better. What does marketing need?" But Lucas, my right hand in cybersecurity for 5 years, wasn't buying it. He closed the bathroom door. "You look like you're plotting a murder. Just an execution of sorts." I pulled up the company's financial dashboard on my phone, watching the first ripples of my code begin to spread. Small discrepancies, tiny delays in processing. Nothing obvious yet. "Did you know about the ownership transfer?" His silence was answer enough. "How long?" My voice stayed steady, professional. The voice Dad had praised during board meetings. "Jasmine." Lucas shifted uncomfortably. "There were meetings, private ones. Oliver was there." "Of course." Oliver, Olivia's fiancé, the man Dad had fast-tracked to senior management. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. Those late nights he'd spent learning the business weren't about work at all. "They're announcing it at the wedding," Lucas continued. "Full transfer of controlling shares. Oliver's taking over cybersecurity." The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I absorbed this new betrayal. Not just the inheritance then. They were taking my division too. My life's work handed to Oliver, who couldn't code his way out of a paper bag. "I need coffee," I announced, walking out before Lucas could see the rage burning behind my eyes. The elevator ride to the lobby gave me time to think. Oliver in charge of cybersecurity meant access to everything, including the subtle traps I'd woven into the system overnight. I needed to accelerate my timeline. "Jasmine!" I froze halfway across the lobby. Olivia stood by the security desk, wearing the designer dress I'd helped her pick for wedding fittings. She rushed over, arms outstretched for a hug I didn't return. "Why aren't you answering my calls? We need to talk about this." "About what?" I kept my voice light, aware of watching eyes. "The secret meetings, the ownership transfer, or how you and Oliver played me for months." Her perfect features crumpled. "It's not like that. Dad says the company needs fresh blood, new perspectives. Oliver has amazing ideas. Oliver doesn't know a firewall from a brick wall." The words came out sharp enough to make nearby heads turn. I lowered my voice. "But you knew that when you brought him to Dad, didn't you?" "You're being dramatic." She touched my arm. "Nothing has to change. You'll still have your job, your team." "Under Oliver?" I stepped back. "The man who asked me last week if Python was a type of snake? He's learning, and Dad says. Dad says, Dad says." The words tasted bitter. "Tell me something, Liv. When exactly did you plan to mention this? During your wedding toast? Or maybe after the honeymoon, once all the papers were signed?" Tears welled in her eyes, the same tears that had always worked on Dad. Please don't be like this. It's my wedding week. I need my sister. For a moment, I saw us as we used to be, sharing secrets, planning futures, swearing nothing would ever come between us. Then I remembered her smirk at the cake tasting. You have what you need, I said quietly. The company, the shares, Oliver. Congratulations on the hat trick, sis. I walked out into the sunshine, leaving her calling my name. My phone buzzed with a text from Lucas. Oliver requesting admin access to security protocols. What should I do? I smiled, thinking of the poison pills buried in those protocols, the digital time bombs waiting to be triggered by exactly that kind of access request. Oliver wanted my system? Fine, let him have it. Standard procedure, I texted back. Give him everything he asks for. The coffee shop across the street was quiet this time of morning. I ordered my usual and opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. One command would accelerate the cascade I'd started, targeting the offshore accounts Dad had set up for Olivia's wedding gift. A new text lit up my phone. From Dad this time. Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss your future with the company. My future. Like I was a problem to be managed, a loose end to be tied up neatly before the wedding. I took a sip of coffee and began to type. They wanted to discuss my future? Perfect. Because I had plans of my own, and they were about to discover exactly what kind of future I could create. The family dining room felt smaller than I remembered, walls closing in as Dad carved the roast with surgical precision. Same Sunday dinner ritual, same heavy silverware that had been Mom's pride. Only now everything felt like a stage set, carefully arranged to manipulate me. The transition will be smooth, Dad said, passing plates. Oliver's quite eager to learn from you. I pushed food around my plate, thinking of the code I'd embedded that morning. The first financial discrepancies should be appearing in the offshore accounts right about now. I'm sure he is. I took a small bite, savoring the moment. How's the wedding planning going, Liv? Olivia brightened. Launch her into details about flowers and table settings. I nodded along, watching Dad's phone from the corner of my eye. Any minute now, his ringtone shattered the carefully orchestrated piece. Excuse me, he said, frowning at the screen. I need to take this. The moment he left, Olivia leaned forward. Please just listen. Oliver really admires your work. He says, don't. I set down my fork. Just don't. Girls? Dad's voice carried from his study, tight with tension. There seems to be an issue with the transfer accounts. I took a slow sip of wine. Oh? He returned, face flushed. The wedding venue payment didn't go through, and there are irregularities in the company accounts. Mercury must be in retrograde, I offered. His eyes narrowed. Jasmine. Yes, Dad? Fix it. The command was so familiar, Dad's go-to solution whenever technology misbehaved. But this time, fixing it wasn't as simple as he thought. I can't, I said, enjoying his confusion. Oliver's in charge of security now, remember? Better ask him. The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Olivia looked between us, realization dawning. What did you do? She whispered. My phone buzzed. Lucas. Emergency at the office. Systems going haywire. Oliver can't access anything. Nothing that can't be undone, I said, standing. Yet. Dad's face darkened. You're making a mistake. No, that was yours. I grabbed my purse. When you decided I was expendable. Jasmine, wait. Olivia caught my arm. We can fix this, as a family. I looked at her perfectly manicured hand on my sleeve, remembering all the times she'd used that touch to get her way. Family. You lost the right to that word when you and Oliver started plotting behind my back. It wasn't like that. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Oliver found out by accident. He overheard Dad talking to the lawyers and he what? The pieces clicked together. He saw an opportunity? Her silence was damning. When? My voice cracked. When did he tell you? 3 months ago. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Right after he proposed. The timeline hit me like a physical blow. 3 months of wedding planning together. 3 months of sister brunches and late-night calls. 3 months of lies. You know what's funny? I pulled free from her grip. I actually helped him pick your engagement ring. Dad stepped forward. Enough. You're upset, I understand. But this childish attempt at revenge— Childish? I laughed, the sound harsh in the formal dining room. You haven't seen anything yet. My phone buzzed again. Lucas. Oliver trying to override security protocols. Systems fighting back. Of course it was. I designed it that way. Every attempt to force access would trigger another layer of encryption, another digital maze. By morning, the company's entire network would be locked down tighter than a bank vault. 1 week, I said, turning to Dad. That's how long you have to make this right. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you a choice. I met his gaze steadily. The same courtesy you never gave me. Olivia started to speak, but Dad held up his hand. And if I refuse? Then I hope Oliver enjoys his honeymoon, trying to rebuild the company's entire digital infrastructure from scratch. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Dad's face reddened, but before he could respond, my phone lit up with an incoming call. From Oliver. I showed them the screen, smiling. Looks like the groom-to-be needs some technical support, but don't worry, I'm sure he'll figure it out. After all, that's why you chose him, right? I walked out, their protests fading behind me. In the driveway, my hands shook as I pulled up the system dashboard. Red warnings flashed across the screen. Oliver's clumsy attempts to regain control doing exactly what I'd planned. Another call came through. Lucas again. I answered, expecting panic about the system chaos. Instead, his voice was oddly calm. There's something you need to see, about why your dad really changed the will. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Not over the phone. He paused. How fast can you get to the office? The office was dark, except for the blue glow of Lucas's monitors, casting shadows across the files spread across his desk. Through the glass walls, I could see Oliver's team working frantically in the conference room, trying to undo my digital trap. Look at this. Lucas handed me a folder. Found it while digging through the encrypted archives. Inside were financial records dating back 3 years. Transfers, investments, shell companies. My hands went cold as I traced the money trail. Mom's medical bills, I whispered. Dad said the insurance covered everything. It didn't. Lucas pulled up more documents on his screen. The experimental treatments, the specialists. Insurance denied most of it. Your dad had to leverage company assets to pay. The numbers blurred before my eyes. Millions spent trying to save her, draining accounts I never knew existed. The company's been running on fumes, Lucas continued. Your cybersecurity division is the only thing keeping it afloat. That's why he needs Oliver. The realization hit like ice water. A merger with Oliver's family's tech firm. Lucas nodded. The wedding's just cover for the business deal. Once Oliver takes control, the merger goes through, saving both companies. I sank into a chair, my carefully constructed revenge plot suddenly feeling hollow. Dad's not betraying me. He's desperate. Jasmine? Alyssa's voice made me jump. She stood in the doorway, concern etched on her face. Your sister's been trying to reach you. I can't deal with her right now. I gestured at the documents. Did you know about any of this? She moved closer, glancing at the papers. I knew things were bad after your mom, but not the details. She touched my shoulder. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, shouting erupted from the conference room. Through the glass, I watched Oliver slam his laptop shut, face red with frustration. Your code's working, Lucas said quietly. Another hour, and the whole system goes into lockdown, including these financial records. The weight of the choice pressed down on me. I could stop it now, before the damage became permanent, before Dad lost everything he'd sacrificed so much to save. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. Please, whatever you're doing, stop. There's more you don't know. More secrets? I muttered. What a surprise. Maybe you should hear her out, Alyssa suggested. Before this goes too far, I stood, moving to the window. Below, city lights sparkled like the future I'd always imagined. Running the company, making Mom proud, keeping the family legacy alive. Now that future was unraveling, replaced by merger documents and hidden debts. If I stop the code, I said slowly, Oliver takes over. The merger goes through. Everything Mom built gets absorbed into his family's corporation. And if you don't? Lucas asked. I watched Oliver storm out of the conference room, phone pressed to his ear. Probably calling Dad, demanding answers about the security system he was supposed to control. Then I burn it all down. My voice sounded distant, even to myself. The merger fails. The company stays independent. But Dad loses everything. There has to be another way, Alyssa pleaded. Talk to them. Make them understand. Like they made me understand? I turned back to Lucas's monitors, fingers flying over the keyboard. They had months to tell me the truth. Instead, they lied. Plotted. Treated me like a problem to be managed. The code responded to my commands, strengthening its hold on the system. In the conference room, screens began to flicker. Jasmine, wait. Lucas reached for the keyboard. I blocked his access with 2 keystrokes. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not being the good daughter who steps aside. Not this time. My phone lit up with Dad's number. I declined the call, watching the first wave of irreversible changes sweep through the network. They wanted me to trust them, I said, more to myself than my friends. Fine. I trust that they'll do exactly what they've always done, whatever it takes to keep their secrets. Alyssa grabbed my arm. This isn't you. You're angry, I get it, but… No, this is exactly me. I shrugged her off. The me they created when they decided I didn't deserve the truth. Through the glass, Oliver's team was packing up, defeated. My phone buzzed again. Olivia. Mom made me promise not to tell you. Before she died, please call me. I stared at the message, a new kind of cold spreading through my chest. What final secret had Mom taken to her grave? What promise had she extracted from Olivia? The cursor blinked on Lucas's screen, waiting. One command would trigger the final phase, sealing everyone's fate. My fingers hovered over the keys as Mom's voice echoed in my memory. Trust your father. He knows what's best. I started typing. The coffee shop was empty at midnight, just me and the barista, who'd long stopped asking if I wanted refills. My laptop screen glowed with cascading lines of code, the digital equivalent of watching a building burn. You look terrible! I jumped. Oliver stood by my table, his usual polished appearance rumpled after hours of fighting my security protocols. Shouldn't you be at your bachelor party? I closed the laptop, but not before he glimpsed the system dashboard. Funny thing about bachelor parties. He sat uninvited. They're less fun when your company's imploding. Your company? The words tasted bitter. You mean the one you're acquiring through marriage? His face hardened. Is that what you think? That I'm some corporate raider who seduced your sister for a business deal? Aren't you? I love her. The simple declaration caught me off guard. The merger wasn't my idea. It was your mother's. The world tilted sideways. What? She knew the company was failing. Knew your dad would never admit it. Oliver pulled out his phone, showing me an email. She reached out to my family months before she died. The timestamp hit me first, 2 weeks before Mom's final decline. Then the words, "My daughters deserve better than watching their father's pride destroy their inheritance. The merger is the only way." She never said. My voice cracked. She made Olivia promise to keep quiet. Wanted you focused on the company, not worried about her plans. He paused. Or her diagnosis. I knew about the diagnosis. But even as I said it, something nagged at my memory. Mom's insistence that I take that business trip during her last week. Dad's strange relief when I said I'd go. Did you know it wasn't the cancer that killed her? Oliver's voice was gentle. She stopped treatment early, used the money to save the company instead. The coffee cup slipped from my numb fingers, spilling across the table. Oliver grabbed napkins, but I barely noticed. She chose to die? The words came out strangled. She chose to protect her family's future. He mopped up coffee. The merger wasn't about taking your company. It was about saving it, and you, from your father's pride. My phone buzzed. Lucas. System lockdown complete. Point of no return in 15 minutes. Huh, why are you telling me this now? I searched Oliver's face for deception. Because in 15 minutes, you'll destroy everything your mother died to protect. He stood. And Olivia will never forgive either of us. The mention of my sister sent fresh pain through my chest. She lied to me. You all did. Ooh, yes. He didn't flinch. To honor your mother's last wish. To give you time to grieve without carrying this burden too. He headed for the door, then turned back. You know what's ironic? Your mother said you'd be the one to save the company. That your brilliance would secure its future. Instead, I'm destroying it. Are you? He raised an eyebrow. Or are you proving her right? My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Please come home. There's something you need to see. The merger papers, I said. They're ready, aren't they? Oliver nodded. Waiting on your father's desk, along with a letter your mother left for you. My fingers trembled as I pulled up the system dashboard. 13 minutes until total lockdown. 13 minutes to decide if revenge was worth betraying Mom's final sacrifice. You know what really keeps me up at night? Oliver lingered in the doorway. Wondering if I deserve any of this. The company, Olivia, your mother's trust. He met my eyes. Do you ever wonder the same thing? He left before I could answer, the bell above the door chiming softly. Through the window, I watched him walk away, no longer seeing the corporate usurper I'd imagined, but someone else caught in Mom's final gambit. My screen flashed. System lockdown initiating. Proceed YN. Mom's words echoed in my head. My daughters deserve better. Another text from Dad. Your mother wanted you to lead this company, not destroy it. Come home, please. 11 minutes. The cursor blinked, waiting for my command. In the darkened window, my reflection stared back, Mom's eyes in my face, asking silently if revenge was worth destroying her last gift to us all. I opened a new command window and began to type. Not to destroy this time, but to build something new from the ashes of all our secrets. The real question wasn't whether I deserved any of this. It was whether I could become the daughter Mom believed I could be, the one strong enough to save our family from itself. 10 minutes left to find out. Dad's study looked exactly as it had when I was a child. Leather-bound books, Mom's photographs, the faint scent of pipe tobacco he'd quit smoking years ago. Only now, spread across his desk, lay the evidence of our family's unraveling. You came. He stood as I entered, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The merger documents sat untouched beside a cream-colored envelope with my name in Mom's handwriting. 8 minutes until system lockdown. I checked my phone. Start talking. Instead of speaking, he handed me Mom's letter. The paper felt fragile, like it might crumble along with the last of my certainties. My dearest Jasmine, if you're reading this, I've failed to tell you the truth in person. Your father will blame himself for that. Let him. Guilt has always been his preferred currency. The company is failing, not because of your father's choices, but because of mine. Those experimental treatments weren't just expensive, they were investments in a competing technology. I gambled our future on a cure that didn't exist. Your father wanted to sell everything, start fresh, but I knew that would destroy you both. The proud man who built this company from nothing, and the brilliant daughter who made it soar. The merger was my solution. Oliver's family brings the capital we need, while you bring the innovation that will save us all. Forgive your sister for her silence. Forgive your father for his pride. But most of all, forgive me for making you bear this burden alone. Lead them well. All my love, Mom. My vision blurred. She knew about everything. She knew you'd fight the merger. Dad's voice was rough. Knew you'd see it as a betrayal rather than salvation. So she orchestrated all of it? My laugh sounded hollow. Oliver and Olivia's relationship? The inheritance change? Oliver and Olivia were unexpected, but convenient. He picked up the merger documents. Your mother saw an opportunity to unite the families personally as well as professionally. My phone buzzed. Lucas. 5 minutes. Security protocols awaiting final command. She was wrong about one thing, I said, watching Dad's face. The company's not failing because of her choices or yours. I turned my laptop around, showing him the real financial records I'd uncovered. Someone's been embezzling funds for months. Someone with high-level access. The color drained from his face. That's impossible. Only family has that level of clearance. Exactly. I pulled up the transaction logs. Care to guess whose authorization codes were used? Understanding dawned in his eyes. Oliver. No. I hit one final key, revealing the truth. Olivia. The study door opened. Olivia stood there, still in her wedding planning outfit, tears streaming down her face. I can explain. The gambling debts? I asked quietly. Or how you've been stealing from Mom's medical fund since before she died? Dad staggered, gripping his desk. Tell me this isn't true. I was going to pay it back. Olivia's voice cracked. Oliver's family's money would cover everything. The merger would hide the missing funds. My phone, 3 minutes to lockdown. That's why you pushed for the quick engagement, I realized. Why you needed the merger to happen before anyone looked too closely at the books. I didn't mean for Mom to... She choked on the words. To die believing her daughter betrayed everything she built? The rage I'd been directing at Dad shifted targets. To sacrifice herself for a company you were secretly destroying? Jasmine. Dad's voice shook. Stop the lockdown. Why should I? The hurt spilled out. So Olivia's theft can be quietly buried? So Oliver's family can sweep in and save us? Because your mother was right about one thing. He handed me the merger documents. You're the only one who can save this company, not by destroying it, but by leading it. 1 minute remaining. Olivia stepped forward. I'll confess. Pay everything back. Just please, don't let Mom's sacrifice be for nothing. My finger hovered over the keyboard. One command would seal everyone's fate. Olivia's crimes exposed. The merger destroyed. Our family's legacy ended by our own hands. The cursor blinked, counting down the seconds. In Mom's photograph on the wall, she smiled at us all, believing until the end that her daughters would choose love over pride, family over revenge. 30 seconds, I said, looking at my sister. That's how long you have to tell me the whole truth. Everything you've hidden, everything you've stolen. And then? I thought of Mom's words. Lead them well. Then we'll see what kind of leader I really am. The clock ticked down as Olivia began to speak, each word another piece of our shattered family falling into place. Behind her, Dad gripped the desk like a man watching his world collapse. And maybe it was. But from these ruins, something new would rise. Something built on truth instead of secrets, strength instead of pride. The final countdown began. 300,000 from the Cancer Research Fund. Olivia's voice cracked. 200,000 from the pension accounts. The rest. She swallowed hard. The rest from Mom's treatment fund. Each confession landed like a physical blow. The numbers on my screen confirmed everything. Nearly $1 million bled away through careful manipulations, hidden transfers, deleted records. 10 seconds remained on the lockdown countdown. Why? Dad's question came out barely above a whisper. Because I couldn't stop. Olivia's designer dress suddenly looked cheap, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. The casino loans, the online betting, I thought I could win it back. 5 seconds. And Oliver? I forced myself to ask. Does he know? No. She wrapped her arms around herself. He thinks the merger is just business. That's why I needed it to happen fast, before he could look too closely at the accounts. 2 seconds. Jasmine! Dad's voice steadied. Whatever you decide, know that your mother would be proud. 1 second. I closed my eyes, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Mom's voice echoed in my memory. Lead them well. The clock hit 0. My fingers moved, executing a different command than anyone expected. On my screen, the system lockdown protocol shifted, transforming into something new. "What are you doing?" Olivia stepped closer, peering at the scrolling code. "Giving us a choice." I turned the laptop so they could see. "The system's locked, but not destroyed. I'm creating 3 separate access keys." Understanding dawned in Dad's eyes. "One for each of us. Any 2 keys together can unlock the system." My fingers flew across the keyboard. "But it requires agreement, cooperation, no more unilateral decisions." "And if we can't agree?" Olivia's voice shook. "Then the system stays locked. The merger fails, and everything Mom tried to protect dies with her secrets." The program finished compiling. 3 digital keys appeared on screen, waiting to be claimed. "There's more." I met Olivia's eyes. "The keys come with conditions. First, you repay everything you stole, starting with Mom's medical fund." She nodded, fresh tears falling. "Second, you get help. Real help, not just promises." "And third?" Dad asked. "The merger proceeds, but with modifications." I pulled up the new terms I'd drafted while racing to the house. "Oliver's family gets their partnership, but the cybersecurity division remains independent, under my control." "You'd trust me with a key?" Olivia whispered. "After everything?" "No." The word came out sharp. "I'm trusting Mom's belief that somewhere under all those lies is the sister I used to know, the one who'd rather face consequences than destroy our family." Dad picked up the merger documents. "Oliver's family won't like these changes. Then they can walk away." I stood straighter. "But they should know that without my division, they're buying a shell. The real value was never in the assets Olivia stole or the accounts you leveraged. It was in what Mom knew all along. The innovation, the potential, the future we could build together." The study fell silent, except for the soft hum of my laptop. Outside, dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of possibility. "I'll take the deal." Olivia's voice was quiet but firm. "Whatever it costs, whatever I have to do. I choose family." Dad looked between us. His daughters, so different, yet both shaped by his choices, his pride, his love. "Your mother once told me our greatest legacy wouldn't be the company." He picked up her photograph. "It would be teaching our daughters to rise above our mistakes." "Is that a yes?" I held my breath. He set down the photograph and reached for the laptop. "Generate the keys." My program hummed to life, creating 3 unique digital signatures. With trembling fingers, Olivia claimed hers first. Dad followed, his businesslike facade cracking as the weight of the moment hit him. I stared at the final key. My key. The power to lock or unlock our future glowing on the screen. One last chance to choose revenge over redemption. Mom smiled from her photograph as I reached for the keyboard. In the end, she'd known this moment would come. Known I would have to choose between being right and being family. "Together?" I asked, looking at my sister and father. They moved to either side of me, our hands joining over the keyboard. In that moment, I saw us clearly, not as the perfect family we'd pretended to be, but as the flawed, struggling, loving people we actually were. "Together," they echoed. I pressed enter, and our new future began. The wedding venue looked different in daylight, stripped of twinkle lights and romantic illusions. Olivia sat beside me on the stone steps, both of us staring at the empty parking lot where guests should have been arriving. "Oliver's family is furious," she said, smoothing her casual sundress, so different from the wedding gown hanging unworn in her closet. "Dad says they're threatening lawsuits." "Let them." I handed her a coffee. "They won't find anything. The system's clean now, all traces of the embezzlement erased. Your repayment will look like normal transfers." "Why did you do that? Cover my tracks?" "Because Mom protected us, even when it hurt." I sipped my own coffee. "Seems like a family tradition." My phone buzzed. Lucas confirming the new security protocols were in place. The company network hummed along under shared control, 3 keys working in harmony. I found something else in the old records," I said quietly. "About Mom's treatments." Olivia tensed beside me. "What?" She didn't stop them just to save money. I pulled out a medical report. They were working. The experimental drug was actually fighting the cancer. But then why? Because the treatment would have taken years. Years of draining company resources. Years of watching Dad struggle to keep everything afloat. I handed her the report. She chose a faster ending on her terms. Olivia's hands shook as she read. She knew about my gambling back then, didn't she? That's why she made me promise to keep quiet. She knew about all of us. My anger, your addiction, Dad's pride. I watched a delivery van pull up, workers beginning to dismantle the wedding decorations. She wasn't trying to save the company. She was trying to save her family. By dying? By forcing us to face each other, to choose what kind of people we wanted to be. Olivia leaned against my shoulder, like she used to when we were kids. I start therapy tomorrow. Real therapy, not just the corporate counseling Dad suggested. I know. I got the confirmation email. She sat up. You're monitoring my email? I'm monitoring everything. I met her gaze steadily. That's the deal. Total transparency, or the key gets revoked. Your choice, every day. And you? What's keeping you honest? I pulled out Mom's letter, creased from constant reading. This line here, lead them well. She didn't say, lead the company well, or lead the merger well. She said them. Us. The hardest leadership challenge of all. A familiar car pulled into the lot. Oliver's sleek BMW. He stepped out, looking uncertain in casual clothes instead of his usual suit. He still loves me, Olivia whispered, even after learning everything. Then he's smarter than I gave him credit for. I stood, brushing off my jeans. The merger papers are ready, different terms, but the core partnership intact. If he's still interested. Are you sure, after what I did? I'm sure about one thing. I helped her up. Mom believed in second chances, even when we didn't deserve them. Oliver approached slowly, hands in his pockets. Behind him, workers continued dismantling the wedding that wouldn't happen. At least not today, not like this. The network's secure, he said, looking at me. Your team's implementation is impressive. Better than Python? I couldn't resist. He actually smiled. I deserved that. Yes, you did. I turned to Olivia. I'll be in the office. Take your time. She grabbed my hand. Jasmine, wait, thank you. For not burning it all down when you could have. Oh, I did burn it down. I squeezed her hand. I just made sure something better could rise from the ashes. Walking to my car, I heard them begin to talk. Soft words about trust and truth, and starting over. My phone buzzed with Dad's message. Board meeting tomorrow. Ready to lead? I looked back at the venue, at the dismantled decorations and changed plans, at my sister and her fiancé, choosing to rebuild rather than run. At the future, Mom had sacrificed everything to give us. Not a perfect legacy, but a chance to write our own story. Ready, I texted back. The sun broke through the clouds as I drove away, casting long shadows behind me. Ahead, the road stretched toward the office, toward responsibility and redemption, and all the complicated choices family brings. Mom was right. Leading well isn't about power or control, or even justice. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to let go, when to fight and when to forgive, when to trust that even broken things can be beautiful, if you're brave enough to rebuild them together.
I should have known better than to fall asleep at my mother-in-law's house. That moment of weakness, that single stupid nap, cost me everything. The afternoon had been deceptively peaceful. Sunlight streamed through Cora's pretentious lace curtains, warming the overstuffed armchair I'd curled up in after lunch. My wedding ring caught the light as I drifted off, the sapphire gleaming like a promise. When I woke up, the ring was gone. Oh, Wendy dear, are you sure you were wearing it? Cora's voice dripped with false concern as I tore through cushions and crawled under furniture. You know how scatterbrained you can be. My hands shook as I checked my pockets for the fourth time. The ring had been snug on my finger when I dozed off. I always twisted it when I was nervous, and God knows being around Cora made me nervous enough. 3 years of marriage to her precious Marcus, and she still treated me like an intruder. I had it on, Cora. I know I did. My voice cracked. The ring wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It was Marcus's grandmother's sapphire, reset into a delicate platinum band. The one family heirloom Cora had grudgingly allowed him to give me. She clicked her tongue, straightening a crystal vase with mathematical precision. Well, these old houses do have a way of swallowing things. Perhaps it's the curse. What curse? Oh, didn't Marcus tell you? Her smile was razor thin. His grandmother always said that ring brings misfortune to anyone who isn't truly meant to be part of this family. The room suddenly felt airless. I watched her arrange flowers with those perfectly manicured hands, the same hands that had probably slipped the ring off my finger while I slept. But I couldn't prove it. Just like I couldn't prove she'd accidentally destroyed my wedding photos, or misplaced the pearl earrings Marcus gave me for our first anniversary. I need to call Marcus, I mumbled, fumbling for my phone. Of course, dear, though he's in that important client meeting until 6. Cora's voice followed me into the hallway. I'm sure he'll be just devastated. That ring meant so much to our family. Our family, not my family, never my family, according to Cora. Marcus answered on the 4th ring, his voice distracted. Hey babe, everything okay? The ring is gone. The words came out in a rush. I was at your mum's and I fell asleep for maybe 20 minutes and... Slow down, he cut in. What do you mean, gone? Someone took it while I was sleeping. Your mother. Wendy. His sigh felt like a slap. Mom would never do that. You probably just misplaced it. We'll look for it when I get home, okay? But Marcus, I've got to go. We're about to present. Try not to upset Mom over this, all right? You know how sensitive she is about family things. The call ended. I stood in Cora's perfect hallway, staring at my bare hand. 3 years of trying to prove myself worthy of her precious son, of swallowing her subtle jabs and helpful suggestions, of watching Marcus choose peace over truth every single time. More tea, dear. Cora appeared with a fresh cup, sympathy and triumph warring in her eyes. Don't worry too much about the ring. After all, she patted my cheek with cold fingers. Some things just aren't meant to be. I took the tea with numb hands, watching steam curl up like question marks. In the polished silver tray beneath the cup, I caught my reflection and something else. Through the doorway behind me, barely visible in the mirror's surface, I saw Cora's hand slip something into the pocket of her cardigan, something that glinted blue in the afternoon light. My heart stopped, then started again with a vengeance. For 3 years, I'd played the dutiful daughter-in-law, desperate for acceptance. I'd let her subtle cruelties slide, kept the peace for Marcus's sake. But watching her pocket my wedding ring, my ring, something inside me snapped. She thought she'd won. She thought I was weak. I lifted the teacup to my lips, tasting nothing but rage. You're right, Cora, I said softly. Some things aren't meant to be, like pretending we're one big happy family anymore. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but I was already turning away, my mind racing. She had no idea what she'd just started, no idea at all. I was done being the good daughter-in-law, done playing by her rules. It was time to make some rules of my own. The jewelry store's bell chimed mockingly as I pushed through the door. 3 days without my ring, and the bare spot on my finger still felt like an accusation. I'd torn Cora's house apart twice more while she was out, searching until my hands shook, but we both knew I wouldn't find it. She'd made sure of that. I need a replacement wedding ring, I told the jeweler, Brad, something that looks exactly like this. I pulled up a photo on my phone. Me and Marcus on our wedding day, the sapphire catching light as we cut the cake. Brad studied the image, his expression oddly intent. Family heirloom, wasn't it? I remember when Marcus brought it in for resizing. You know Marcus? I know the whole family. He glanced at the empty store before lowering his voice, including Cora. Something in his tone made me lean forward. The ring disappeared while I was at her house. Ah, just one syllable but loaded with meaning. Not the first time something's vanished around Cora, is it? My chest tightened, What do you mean? Let's just say you're not the first daughter-in-law to lose something precious. He pulled out a small notepad, scribbling something. If you're interested in the real story, meet me at Carter's Cafe tomorrow at 2. There's someone you should talk to. The bell chimed again. I turned to see Marcus walking in, his smile faltering as he spotted me. Wendy? What are you doing here? I grabbed the note from Brad, shoving it into my pocket. Looking for a replacement ring, since you don't believe your mother took the original. Not this again. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, his tell when he's stressed. Mom's been crying, you know. She can't believe you'd accuse her of theft. Of course she was crying. Cora's tears were weapons, precisely aimed. Did she mention she told me about some family curse? How the ring brings misfortune to people who don't belong? She was probably just telling you the family history. She stole it, Marcus. While I was sleeping, I saw her pocket something shiny right after— Enough! His shout echoed off the glass cases. God, Wendy, why do you have to make everything so difficult? Mom's not perfect, but she's family. Why can't you just try harder to get along? Try harder, like I hadn't spent 3 years shrinking myself to fit into Cora's narrow definition of worthy. Like I was the problem. You know what? You're right. My voice was steel. I should try harder. In fact, I turned to Brad, who'd been very interested in his inventory during our argument. I'd like to order an exact replica. Price is no object. Marcus's face softened with relief. See? That's better. We'll get you a new ring and everything can go back to normal. Normal. The word tasted like poison. I'll email you some options, Brad said, handing me his card. His eyes flicked meaningfully to my pocket, where his note lay hidden. Outside, Marcus touched my arm. I've got to get back to work. Thanks for being reasonable about this, babe. Mom will be so happy you're moving past it. I'm sure she would be. Happy to see me submit again, crawl back into my place like a good little daughter-in-law. Of course, I said, kissing his cheek. Tell your mother not to worry about a thing. I waited until his car disappeared around the corner before pulling out Brad's note. The handwriting was cramped but clear. Uriel's death wasn't an accident. Ask about the insurance policy. And the first, Mrs. Marcus Sr. My hands trembled. Uriel, Marcus's father, had died before I met the family. Car accident, Cora had said. Tragic but simple. But nothing about Cora was simple, was it? I pulled out my phone and called the one person who'd tell me the truth. Tori, I need your help. Remember when you said your mom used to work at the insurance company that handled local claims? Any chance she could pull some old files? My best friend's silence spoke volumes. Wendy, what are you getting into? Something big, I said, watching my reflection in a store window. The woman staring back looked different somehow, harder. And I need to know how deep it goes. This isn't just about the ring anymore, is it? No. I touched my bare finger, thinking of Cora's smug smile, Marcus's willful blindness. It's about justice, and I'm going to get it, with or without my husband's help. The truth was out there, buried in old files and forgotten stories. And tomorrow, at 2 o'clock, I was going to start digging. Carter's Cafe smelled like burnt coffee and secrets. I fiddled with the cheap replacement ring I'd bought at the mall, a temporary shield against questions I wasn't ready to answer. The metal felt wrong, hollow, like everything else in my life lately. Brad was late. I checked my phone again, seeing another missed call from Marcus. He'd been hovering since our jewelry store confrontation, trying to smooth things over with forced cheerfulness and surprise takeout dinners, as if pad thai could make up for choosing his mother's lies over his wife's truth. Sorry I'm running behind. Brad slid into the booth across from me, followed by an elegant older woman with sharp eyes. This is Patricia. She was Marcus Sr.'s first wife. My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. First wife? Patricia's smile was winter cold. Cora doesn't mention me much, I imagine. Bad for her perfect family narrative. She pulled out a worn envelope. But I've been waiting 25 years for someone to ask the right questions. My hand shook as I opened the envelope. Inside were newspaper clippings, photographs, and what looked like photocopied insurance documents. Uriel's death was ruled an accident, Patricia said, tapping one of the articles. Single car crash on Ridge Road. But look at the insurance payout. The number made my eyes widen. That's enough to save the family business and set Cora up for life. Yes, Patricia's voice was steel wrapped in silk. And coincidentally, 3 months before the crash, Uriel changed his policy, removed me as beneficiary, even though I was still legally his wife, made Cora the sole recipient. But they weren't even married yet, I whispered. They were having an affair. I had proof, was ready to take him for everything in the divorce. Then suddenly, she spread her hands. Tragic accident, case closed, and 6 months later, Cora was the grieving widow running everything. My phone buzzed. Marcus's face lit up the screen, but I couldn't deal with his willful blindness right now. Not with these revelations burning holes in my brain. Why are you showing me this? Because history repeats. Brad leaned forward. That ring you lost, it wasn't just any family heirloom. It was Patricia's original engagement ring, the one thing Cora couldn't legally take from her. And now it's disappeared, just like every other threat to Cora's control. I have to tell Marcus, I said, gathering the documents with trembling fingers. He needs to know. He won't believe you. Patricia's words stopped me cold. I tried telling him years ago. He was only 12 when his father died, and Cora, she's very good at managing narratives, especially with her son. The truth of it hit like a physical blow. Marcus, who couldn't even believe his mother would steal a ring, would never accept this. Then what am I supposed to do? Be smarter than I was? Patricia stood, straightening her immaculate blazer. Cora's having her annual charity gala next week. All the old family friends will be there. People who remember what really happened. People who might talk, with the right encouragement. And the right evidence, Brad added meaningfully. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Tori. Found something major in Mom's old files. Call me ASAP. I looked up at Patricia, seeing my own pain reflected in her eyes. Did you ever get justice? No. She touched my cheap replacement ring gently. But maybe you can. For both of us. After they left, I sat staring at my cold coffee, mind racing. The gala was Cora's crown jewel, her yearly proof of perfect family leadership. The guest list would be full of people who knew her secrets, people who might have kept quiet out of fear or loyalty, but who might speak now if given the chance. My phone lit up with a text from Marcus. Mum wants us over for dinner tonight. Please come. She made your favorite pasta. Of course she did. Another performance of perfect mother-in-law concern, probably planning to suggest I was too careless to handle precious family heirlooms. I touched the envelope of evidence, thinking of Patricia's lost years, of all the lives Cora had carefully arranged to suit her narrative. Then I texted back, wouldn't miss it, time to give the performance of my life. Let Cora think she'd won, that I was properly cowed. Let her plan her perfect gala, invite all her carefully managed witnesses. I had a week to turn her showcase into a reckoning. And this time, I wouldn't be playing by her rules. Cora's pasta sauce filled the dining room with a sickly sweet aroma of manufactured perfection. I pushed strands of linguine around my plate, hyper-aware of my mother-in-law's predatory gaze. Not hungry, dear. Her concern could have fooled anyone who hadn't seen her true face. You seem distracted lately. Marcus mentioned you've been making odd appointments, running mysterious errands. My fork froze mid-twirl. I forced a smile, though my pulse hammered. Just busy with work and, dealing with the ring situation. Oh, that, she waved dismissively. I thought we'd moved past that unfortunate accusation. Marcus squeezed my knee under the table, a warning. Play nice. Actually, I said, setting down my fork, I wanted to ask about the gala. I'd love to help with the planning this year. The silence that followed was absolute. Even Chelsea, Marcus's sister, stopped mid-chew to stare at me. Cora recovered first, her smile tightening. How unexpected. You've never shown interest before. I know, but I've been thinking about what you said, about really becoming part of the family. The lies felt like glass in my mouth. I want to do better. Well, Cora dabbed her lips with a monogram napkin. I suppose you could help Chelsea with the place cards. Under supervision, of course. Chelsea brightened. We're working on them tomorrow morning. You should come over. Perfect. Access to the guest list, just like that. Speaking of family involvement, Cora continued, I've been meaning to ask, have you and Marcus discussed children yet? The family name needs carrying on, after all. My carefully constructed mask nearly slipped. Marcus stiffened beside me. Mum, we've talked about this, he said quietly. It's not the right time. It's never the right time with some people. Cora's eyes locked onto mine. Though I suppose it's for the best. Children do need stability. The implication hung in the air like poison gas. I gripped my water glass, remembering Patricia's words about Cora's talent for managing narratives. She was already laying groundwork, painting me as unstable, unfit. If I moved against her now, how would that story spread? I should check on dessert. Cora rose gracefully. Chelsea, help me in the kitchen. The moment they left, Marcus turned to me. Thank you for trying. Mom seems really impressed. I stared at him. This man I loved who couldn't, or wouldn't, see the daggers beneath his mother's smiles. Do you want children, Marcus? What? Where's this coming from? Just answer the question. He ran a hand through his hair. Eventually, yeah. But we agreed to wait. Focus on our careers first. No, I said softly. You agreed. After your mother spent 3 months making comments about my unstable background, my questionable family history. That's not fair. Mom's just protective. Of what? Her control. The words spilled out before I could stop them. Did you know about your father's first wife? His face went blank. Patricia, what does she have to do with anything? Have you ever wondered why she disappeared? Why nobody talks about her? She abandoned us. His voice hardened. Mum told me. Your mother tells you a lot of things. From the kitchen, Cora's laugh rang out like breaking crystal. Marcus's jaw clenched. Don't. His voice was low, warning. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're planning with all these secret meetings, just don't, please. I looked at my husband, really looked at him. Saw the scared 12-year-old boy who'd lost his father and clung to his mother's version of reality like a life raft. How much would it destroy him to learn the truth? Dessert time. Chelsea bounced back in with plates of tiramisu. Wendy, come over early tomorrow. We can get coffee first, make a morning of it. I smiled, feeling Cora's watchful eyes from the doorway. Wouldn't miss it. Later that night, I sat in my home office, staring at Patricia's documents. My phone lit up with a text from Tori. You need to see these insurance records. Things aren't what they seem. Another text followed. Be careful. I think someone's been asking questions about your research. I touched my cheap replacement ring, thinking of Marcus's plea to let things be, of Cora's subtle threats about stability and family legacy. Then I opened my laptop and started typing. Dear Chelsea, looking forward to tomorrow. By the way, could you send me the gala guest list? I have some calligraphy ideas. The truth would hurt Marcus. It would shatter his world, but living this lie was already shattering mine. Chelsea's dining room table disappeared under a sea of cream-coloured place cards. My sister-in-law hummed as she worked, her handwriting perfect and precise, just like everything else Cora had trained into her. I still can't believe you volunteered to help, Chelsea said, passing me another stack of cards. Mum was sure you'd quit after the first hour. I smiled, scanning the names as I arranged them. Judge Morrison, Dr. Phillips, the Harrises, all wealthy, all influential, all potential witnesses to Cora's past. Guess I'm full of surprises. Like that. Chelsea pointed to my replacement ring. You got a new one so quickly. Didn't even make Mom feel bad about the original disappearing. My hand froze. What do you mean? Oh, you know, Mom. Chelsea's voice dropped conspiratorially. She has to test everyone. She did the same thing with my boyfriend last Christmas, misplaced his grandfather's watch during his first overnight stay, found it a week later after he'd proved he could handle family pressure without cracking. The calligraphy pen slipped, bleeding ink across Senator Weber's name. She does this often, only to people she's unsure about. Chelsea frowned at my ruined card. I thought you knew. It's like an initiation thing. She'll give your ring back once you've shown you're committed to the family. That's why I was so impressed you didn't make a huge scene. My carefully constructed plan crumbled like wet paper. This wasn't just about me. How many others had Cora manipulated? How many more would she break? Chelsea, I said carefully, what do you remember about your dad's accident? The humming stopped. Why? Just wondering if you ever thought it was strange. The timing, the insurance. Don't. Her voice sharpened to a point. Mum said you might start asking questions. Said Patricia had poisoned you against the family. Ice slid down my spine. You've talked to Patricia. Mum told me everything this morning. How Patricia's been stalking the family for years, spreading lies. How she's using you to get revenge. Chelsea's eyes filled with tears. I thought you were really trying to be part of the family, but you're just... Chelsea, listen to me. Your mother is protecting us, like always. She stood abruptly, cards scattering. I think you should go. The gala list will be handled by people we can trust. Her voice cracked. I have to tell Mom about this, and Marcus. They need to know you're working with Patricia. No. Chelsea, please. Get out. I drove home in a daze, mind racing. Cora had outmaneuvered me again, poisoning the well before I could even draw water. How many others had she warned? How many stories had she twisted? My phone buzzed. Tori. I pulled over to answer. Where are you? She sounded breathless. You need to get to my office, now. I can't. Everything's falling apart. The insurance records, Wendy. They're not what we thought. Uriel's death wasn't about the money. It was about covering something bigger. Something that ties directly to what's happening now. What do you mean? Just come. And watch your back. Mom says someone accessed her files this morning. Someone with high-level clearance. I ended the call, hands shaking. Through the windshield, I spotted a familiar car parked across the street. The same one I'd seen outside Brad's shop yesterday. My phone lit up with texts. Marcus. Chelsea just called. How could you? Chelsea. Mum's crying. I hope you're happy. Unknown number. Back off now. Final warning. The walls were closing in. Soon Marcus would be home, demanding explanations. Cora would spin her web of lies tighter. And somewhere in Tori's files lay a truth that had people watching my every move. I thought of Chelsea's revelation about the ring test, about all the other lives Cora had casually broken and reformed to suit her needs, about Marcus, trapped in his mother's carefully constructed reality. My replacement ring caught the afternoon light, cheap and hollow, like everything in Cora's world. I turned the key in the ignition. Tori's office was 30 minutes away. Whatever truth waited in those files, it was time to face it. Because Cora hadn't just stolen my ring. She'd stolen years from Patricia, peace from Uriel, independence from her children. And she would keep stealing, keep breaking people, unless someone stopped her. I pulled into traffic, checking my mirrors for the familiar car. Let them follow. Let them report back. I was done playing Cora's game by Cora's rules. Time to change the game entirely. Tori's office building loomed dark against the sunset, most windows already black. My heels clicked through the empty lobby, each echo a reminder that I shouldn't be here after hours. But Tori had insisted. Safer this way, she'd said. Fewer eyes. The elevator dinged at the 4th floor. Through the glass walls of the insurance agency, I saw a single desk lamp burning. Tori hunched over her computer, face ghostly in the screen's glow. Lock the door, she said without looking up. The files are worse than we thought. I turned the deadbolt, then froze. On Tori's desk sat my sapphire ring. "Where did you get that?" She finally met my eyes. "Cora brought it in this morning, said she needed to discuss some old policies." Her voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Wendy. She knows we've been looking into Uriel's death." "What?" She had proof, photos of me accessing restricted files, recordings of phone calls. Said if I didn't help her, she'd have my mum charged with criminal breach of confidentiality. Mom could lose her license, face jail time. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. "So you're working for her now?" "No, I told her I would, but that's why I called you here." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "We have maybe an hour before she realizes I'm still in the office. Look at this." The screen filled with scanned documents, bank statements, property deeds, death certificates. My eyes caught on familiar names. Patricia, Uriel, Marcus Sr. Uriel was investigating financial irregularities before he died, Tori explained. Large transfers from the family accounts to offshore holdings, all authorized by Marcus Sr. "But Cora blamed Patricia for the missing money," I said. "Said that's why they divorced." "Patricia was the scapegoat, but look at the dates. The transfers continued after her divorce, after Uriel's death, and they're still happening." My head spun. "That's impossible. Marcus Sr. is dead." "Is he?" She pulled up a grainy photo, timestamp from 3 months ago. A man at a cafe in Buenos Aires, older but unmistakable from the family photos in Cora's house. The insurance payout, the remarriage, the whole grieving widow act, it was all a cover, Tori said. Uriel discovered the truth, so they eliminated him, made it look like an accident, and now history's repeating. The pieces clicked horribly into place. The ring, the accusations, isolating me from Marcus. She's setting me up like she did Patricia. "Wendy," Tori gripped my arm. "There's more. I found emails between Cora and Marcus from last week. About you." "No. Please no." She turned the screen. There was my husband's familiar email signature, his words like knives. "Mum's right. Wendy's becoming unstable, dangerous. The sooner we handle this, the better." The room tilted. All those late nights at the office, the sudden business trips, his desperate attempts to keep peace with his mother. He wasn't protecting me. He was helping plan my removal. "We need to call the police," Tori said. "With what proof? Cora's already discredited me to everyone who matters. She'll say I forged the documents, that I'm having a breakdown." My voice caught. Even Marcus would testify against me. "Then run, I'll help you." A door slammed somewhere in the building. Footsteps approached. "They're here," Tori whispered. "Cora must have followed you." "Delete everything," I hissed. "They can't know you showed me." "But do it. I won't let her destroy your family too." As Tori erased the files, I grabbed my ring from her desk. Not to wear, never again, but as proof. Of what? I wasn't sure yet. The footsteps grew closer, multiple sets. "Backstairs," Tori mouthed, pointing to a fire exit. "I'll stall them." I slipped through the door just as voices reached the office. Marcus's among them, concern masking steel. "Tori, have you seen my wife?" The stairwell was dark, emergency lights casting everything in sick green. I descended as quietly as possible, mind racing. I couldn't go home. Couldn't trust my friends. Cora would have poisoned them all against me by now. Couldn't even trust my own husband. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Patricia here. Heard you found the truth. Need somewhere safe? I've been preparing for this day for 20 years. I reached the ground floor, heart pounding. Through the exit door's window, I saw shadows moving in the lobby. They thought they had me trapped, cornered. Just another inconvenient woman to be erased from the family story. But they'd forgotten something crucial. I had nothing left to lose. I texted back one word. Where? The endgame was starting, and this time, I wouldn't be the one who disappeared. The annual charity gala sparkled with false perfection, just like its hostess. I adjusted my borrowed dress, Patricia's from happier days, and touched the USB drive hidden in my clutch. Amazing how something so small could hold enough truth to shatter an empire. Ready? Patricia squeezed my arm. After 3 days of hiding in her cabin, planning this moment, she'd become more than an ally. She was my mirror, showing what I'd become if I let Cora win. I nodded, watching guests stream into the hotel ballroom. Everyone who matters is here. The board members, the old family friends. The witnesses, Patricia finished. Her smile was sharp as broken glass. Time to give them something to really talk about. We separated at the entrance. The plan was simple. Patricia would handle the technical setup while I kept Cora distracted. One wrong move, and we'd both disappear, this time permanently. Cora spotted me immediately. Her perfect mask slipped for just a moment, showing genuine shock before recovering. "Wendy, darling," her voice carried across the room, drawing all eyes to us. "We've been so worried. Marcus has been absolutely frantic. Has he?" I moved closer, noting how she subtly backed away. Strange, since he helped drive me away. "You're not well, dear. We all see that now." Her concern was precision-engineered to draw sympathy from our growing audience. "Why don't we step somewhere private? Talk about getting you help." "No more private conversations, Cora. No more tests or disappearing rings or convenient accidents." I pulled out her precious sapphire ring. "Looking for this?" Her eyes narrowed. Behind her, I saw Marcus pushing through the crowd, face pale. "Wendy, stop." His voice shook. "Please, you're embarrassing yourself." Am I? Or am I finally seeing clearly? I turned to address the watching crowd. "Did you all know about Marcus Sr.? That he's alive and well in Buenos Aires?" A ripple of murmurs. Cora's smile turned glacial. "Security, please. My disturbed daughter-in-law needs..." The lights died. The massive screen behind the stage flickered to life, showing bank statements, emails, surveillance photos. Patricia's timing was perfect. "That's Marcus Sr. last month," I announced as the Buenos Aires cafe photo appeared. "Very alive for someone who supposedly died 20 years ago. Right, Cora?" "Lies," she hissed. "Obvious forgeries from a sick..." "The money transfers are still happening," I continued. "Same offshore accounts, same pattern Uriel discovered before his convenient accident. Would anyone like to see Cora's emails planning my own convenient accident?" "Enough." Marcus grabbed my arm. "Mom, call the police." I yanked away. "Did you even read the emails she sent you? Or did you just agree blindly, like always? Handle this like we handled Patricia." "That's what she wrote. Did you know what that meant?" His grip loosened. "What?" "Show him," Patricia's voice rang out. She emerged from the AV booth, remote in hand. "Show your son what his mother really is." The screen filled with security footage from 20 years ago. Cora and Marcus Sr. arguing with Uriel in his office. The timestamp matched the night of his accident. "Turn it off," Cora commanded, but her voice had lost its power. The crowd watched in horror as the scene played out, as Uriel threatened to expose the fraud, as Cora smiled and offered him one last drink. "That's not..." Marcus staggered back. "Mom?" "Everything I did was for you," Cora said. "To protect our family's legacy. Patricia would have destroyed us. Uriel would have ruined everything. And now your wife..." She turned to me, mask finally cracking. "You ungrateful little snake. I gave you everything. You gave me tests and lies. You tried to erase me just like you erased them." "And I'll do it again," she snarled, lunging for my throat. Several things happened at once. Marcus shouted. Patricia's heel caught Cora's ankle. And I, finally, fought back. We hit the ground hard, my sapphire ring flying from my clutch. It rolled across the floor, coming to rest at Chelsea's feet. The silence was deafening. Chelsea picked up the ring, looking between it and her mother with new eyes. Understanding bloomed across her face. Every test, every manipulation, every careful lie suddenly clear. "Security's not coming," she said quietly. "I called the police instead. The real police. They're already talking to Brad about Dad's accident." Cora's face crumpled, not from guilt or shame, but from the ultimate betrayal. Her perfect daughter, her trained ally, choosing truth over family loyalty. "Chelsea," she breathed. "No, Mom." Chelsea helped me up, pressing the ring into my palm. No more tests, no more lies. As police sirens wailed in the distance, I looked at my husband. Marcus stood frozen, years of carefully constructed reality shattering around him. "I'm sorry," I whispered, meaning it. He nodded slowly, looking at his mother with stranger's eyes. The sapphire caught the light, no longer a symbol of belonging, but of survival, of truth finally, brutally set free. The police station coffee tasted like burnt regrets. I sat in the harsh fluorescent light, watching through one-way glass as Cora's perfect mask finally cracked completely. Her carefully styled hair had come undone, her designer dress wrinkled from hours of questioning. She looked smaller somehow, more human. "She's confessing to everything," Detective Rivera said. "The fraud, Uriel's murder, even the attempted hit and run that made Patricia leave town. 20 years of secrets spilling out." I touched my throat where bruises were forming. "And Marcus Sr.? Interpol picked him up an hour ago. He's not as loyal to your mother-in-law as she thought." "Of course not. Loyalty was something Cora demanded, never gave." The door opened. Marcus stood there, looking lost in clothes that had once fit perfectly. "Can we talk?" I followed him to a quiet corner, neither of us quite meeting the other's eyes. The sapphire ring felt heavy in my pocket, no longer a test of belonging, but a reminder of what we'd lost. "I keep thinking about all the signs," he said finally. "The missing jewelry, the convenient accidents, the way she'd twist everything until I couldn't trust my own memories. How did I not see it?" "Because she made sure you couldn't. She built your whole world, brick by brick, and you tore it down." His voice cracked. "Thank you, and I'm sorry." I pulled out the ring, studying how it caught the harsh light. "Did you know about what she was planning for me?" "No, yes, I don't know." He ran a hand through his hair, that familiar nervous gesture now painful to watch. "She said you were unstable, that you needed help. I thought I was protecting you. By helping her isolate me, gaslight me, I was wrong." His eyes filled with tears. "So wrong. But I can fix this. We can start over, rebuild." "No." The word came out gentle but firm. "We can't. Wendy, please, I love you. But you don't trust me. You never have, not really. Every time I came to you about your mother, every time I needed you to choose truth over comfort, you chose her version of reality. That's not fair. She's my mother, and I'm your wife. Was your wife." I pressed the ring into his palm, closing his fingers around it. "Give this to someone you'll believe in." Chelsea appeared in the doorway, eyes red but steady. "They need you both. More statements about the gala." I nodded, stepping away from Marcus, but Chelsea caught my arm. "Wait, there's something else you should know." She glanced at her brother. "Something Mum said during questioning. About Dad, our real dad." Marcus went still. "What about him? He's alive too, in witness protection. He didn't die in that crash. He faked it to escape Mom and Marcus Sr. He's been trying to contact us for years, but Mom intercepted everything." The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. All those carefully maintained stories, the manufactured grief, the lessons about family loyalty, built on nothing but lies. Marcus stumbled back like he'd been struck. "I can't. I need some air." We watched him leave, this man who'd lost every certainty in a single night. "Will you be okay?" I asked Chelsea. "Eventually. Patricia's helping me arrange a meeting with Dad. Real Dad." She squeezed my hand. "What about you?" Through the window, I could see Tori waiting by her car, ready to drive me to my new apartment. Patricia stood with her, these two women who'd helped me find truth and strength when I needed it most. "I will be," I said, surprising myself by meaning it. Chelsea hugged me fierce and quick. "Thank you, for being braver than we were." I walked outside into dawn's grey light. The air smelled like rain and possibility. Behind me, the police station held Cora and her crumbling empire of lies. Ahead, uncertainty waited, but it was honest uncertainty, built on truth instead of tests. My finger felt naked without the ring, but lighter somehow. Like I could finally reach for things without checking for approval first. "Ready?" Tori called. I looked back one last time. Through the window, I saw Marcus watching me, still holding that sapphire ring. Still caught between truth and comfort, reality and illusion. But his choices weren't mine anymore. "Ready," I said, stepping forward into my own unwritten story. Some things, after all, were always meant to be broken, including the chains we mistake for love.
I never meant to eavesdrop that night. Standing in our dimly lit hallway, grocery bags still in hand, I froze as my mother's voice drifted through the crack beneath my parents' bedroom door. "We had no choice, Alice. Danny needed that money for his investors. You know how desperate he was. But it was Felicity's inheritance, Truman. What if she finds out? My name is Felicity, and in that moment, my whole world shifted. The inheritance my grandmother had left me, the one my parents had been managing until I was ready, had apparently found a new owner. My hands trembled as I set down the bags, careful not to make a sound. "She won't," my father replied. "Besides, Danny promised he'd pay it back double once his crypto venture takes off. It's a sure thing this time." I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing. Danny's sure things had a perfect track record of failure. "What about the house down payment she's been saving for?" Mum's voice quivered. "We'll figure something out. We always do." The hallway started spinning. 5 years of overtime shifts and declined vacations, all for that down payment. And now... "Felicity?" Danny's voice behind me made me jump. "What are you doing?" Before I could stop myself, I shoved past him and burst through my parents' door. Mum was perched on the edge of their bed, Dad standing by the window. Their faces told me everything I needed to know. "How much?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "How much of my inheritance did you give him?" Mom's hand flew to her throat. "Sweetheart, we can explain." "How much?" Dad stepped forward, arms raised like he was approaching a wounded animal. "Now, Felicity, you need to understand. Your brother was in trouble. 300,000, Danny said from behind me. "But it's not what you think. This investment is different. I've done the research." I whirled around. "Like you researched that food truck franchise? Or the NFT gallery?" "That's enough," Dad's voice boomed. "We're family. We help each other." "Help each other?" I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. "When was the last time anyone helped me?" Mom stood up, reaching for me. "Darling, please, we were going to tell you." "When? After Danny lost it all again?" "You don't understand business," Danny cut in. "Sometimes you have to take risks." "With your own money!" I was screaming now. Years of being the responsible one, the reliable one, the invisible one, boiling over. That inheritance was all I had left of Grandma. She trusted you to protect it for me. "And we did protect it," Dad insisted. "We protected it by keeping it in the family. Danny's venture will what? Fail, like everything else he touches." I turned to my brother. "How many times have they bailed you out? How many times have they picked you over me?" The silence that followed was deafening. Mom was crying now. Dad's face had turned red, and Danny just looked bored, like this was all beneath him. "I want it back," I said finally. "All of it, every penny." Dad shook his head. "The money's already invested." "Then uninvest it." "Felicity," Mom pleaded, "be reasonable. We're family. Family doesn't steal from family." I backed toward the door, my whole body shaking. "You want to know something funny? I came over tonight to tell you I'd been promoted. Regional director. I was going to take you all out to celebrate. Danny snorted. Regional director? Of what? That little charity thing you do. I met his eyes. That little charity thing made $6 million in revenue last year. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because none of you ever asked. The shock on their faces would have been satisfying if it didn't hurt so much. I turned to leave, then stopped. You know what the worst part is? I would have given Danny the money if he'd just asked. But he didn't have to, did he? Because you two have always given him everything he wanted, whether he deserved it or not. Where are you going? Mom called as I walked away. To pack. I'm done being the responsible one. I'm done being the backup plan. I paused at the top of the stairs. And when this latest venture fails, because it will, don't come crying to me. As I drove home that night, my phone buzzed with messages and missed calls. I ignored them all. They'd taken my inheritance, my savings, my trust. But they'd given me something too, something far more valuable. They'd given me a reason to stop playing by their rules. You're doing what? Josephine nearly choked on her coffee. We were sitting in her kitchen 3 days after I'd discovered my family's betrayal. Moving everything I have left into a trust, one they can't touch. I slid my laptop across the table, showing her the paperwork I'd prepared. I need a witness signature. She studied the screen, her expression shifting from concern to understanding. Smart. But won't they notice when you close your other accounts? They already drained the main one. The rest are in my name only. I took a sip of my own coffee, grimacing at its bitterness. Besides, they're too busy dealing with Danny's latest crisis to check. My phone buzzed. Mom's 20th call today. I declined it without looking. Have you talked to them at all? Josephine asked, signing the digital document. What's there to say? Sorry we stole your future, but your brother really needed it. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Josephine peeked through the window and swore under her breath. It's your mom. You're kidding. I grabbed my laptop, ducking behind the kitchen counter. I'm not here. Josephine rolled her eyes, but went to answer the door. I heard my mother's voice, tight with worry. Is Felicity here? She's not answering her phone, and I'm concerned. She's not. Josephine cut in. And if she was, would you blame her for not wanting to talk? You don't understand, Mom pressed. Danny's investors are getting impatient. If we could just explain to Felicity. Explain what? I stood up, unable to stay hidden. How you betrayed my trust. Or how Danny's latest get-rich-quick scheme is falling apart already. Mom rushed past Josephine, arms outstretched. Sweetheart, please. We made a mistake, but we're family. Stop saying that! I backed away. Being family doesn't give you the right to steal from me. We didn't steal. We borrowed. Without asking. Without telling me. That's stealing, Mom. She sank into a kitchen chair, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. What do you want me to say? Danny needed help. Danny always needs help, and you and Dad always give it, no matter who gets hurt in the process. I closed my laptop with a snap. Well, guess what? I'm done being collateral damage. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm cutting you off. All of you. No more bailing out Danny. No more family dinners where everyone pretends everything's fine. No more... The front door slammed open, and Danny burst in, face flushed. Mom? Did you find her? The investors are threatening to... Oh. He stopped short when he saw me, and for the first time, I noticed how expensive his clothes were. My clothes, technically, bought with my money. Fell, thank God. Listen, there's been a slight hiccup with the investment. Get out. My voice was ice. Just hear me out. If I can get another 50,000... Are you kidding me? Josephine stepped between us. You steal her inheritance and have the nerve to ask for more? Danny's face darkened. This is family business. Stay out of it. She is family, I snapped. More than you've ever been. Fine. He threw up his hands. Be that way. But when this venture takes off, don't come asking for a cut. I laughed, the sound harsh and bitter. You mean like your food truck empire, or your NFT gallery, or that cryptocurrency you swore would revolutionize pet grooming? Those were learning experiences. Those were failures, and now you've dragged my inheritance down with them. Mom stood up, wringing her hands. Please, both of you. We can figure this out together. No, Mom, we can't. I gathered my things, hands steady despite my racing heart. I'm done figuring things out for Danny. From now on, his problems are his problems. You're just jealous, Danny sneered, because I take risks while you play it safe with your little charity work. I turned to him slowly. My little charity work paid for the suit you're wearing. Remember that when your investors come calling. As I walked out, Mom called after me. What about Sunday dinner? Your father will be so disappointed. I'm sure Danny will make up for my absence. I paused at the door. Oh, and Mum, tell Dad to check Danny's company paperwork. I bet he didn't mention the second mortgage he took out on his condo. Danny's face went pale. How did you... I have friends in finance. Unlike you, I actually network instead of just talking about it. I left them there. Mom crying, Danny sputtering excuses. Josephine followed me out to my car. That was brutal, she said. But necessary. Yeah. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Dad. Think they'll finally learn their lesson? Probably not. But you learned yours. I started the engine, feeling lighter than I had in days. Time to start playing by my own rules. You're in the wrong room. The man at the front of the entrepreneurship workshop didn't even look up from his laptop. Beginner's class is down the hall. I'm exactly where I need to be. I dropped my portfolio on the desk with a thud. Advanced business strategy and growth, right? He finally looked up, eyes sharp behind rimless glasses. This class is for experienced business owners. Regional Director of Hope Forward Foundation. 6 million in revenue last year. That experienced enough? A smile tugged at his lips. I'm Emmett. Take a seat. Over the next 2 hours, I absorbed everything he taught about scaling businesses and identifying market opportunities. When the other students filed out, I stayed behind. Question? Emmett asked, packing up his materials. More like a proposition. I need a mentor. He paused. I don't usually. I know what happened with your sister's tech startup, how your family took advantage, nearly bankrupted you. His expression hardened. How did you... I did my research before signing up. And I need someone who understands what it's like when family becomes your biggest liability. Interesting pitch. He leaned against the desk. Tell me more. I laid out my situation. The stolen inheritance, Danny's failed ventures, my parents enabling. By the time I finished, Emmett was nodding slowly. So, you want revenge? I want independence. And maybe... I smiled. To show them exactly what they overlooked. Good answer. He pulled out his phone. I have an hour before my next class. Coffee? At the cafe across the street, Emmett reviewed my foundation's numbers. These are impressive, but you're playing it safe. Safe pays the bills. Safe keeps you invisible. He scribbled something on a napkin. What if you could help 10 times as many people and make 20 times the profit? I'm listening. Your foundation teaches job skills to underprivileged communities, right? But you rely on donations and grants. What if... A familiar voice cut through the cafe. Felicity? I turned to see Sylvia, my parents' friend, approaching our table. Sylvia, hi. I've been trying to reach you. Your mother is beside herself. I'm in a meeting. I gestured to Emmett, who gave a polite nod. But your parents' house. Surely you've heard. My coffee turned cold in my stomach. Heard what? The bank called their loan. Something about Danny's business dealings affecting their credit? She wrung her hands. They might lose the house. Emmett watched me carefully as Sylvia continued. Your father's not sleeping. Your mother keeps saying if they'd just listen to you about Danny's investment. Thank you for letting me know. I cut her off, my voice steady. But I really need to get back to my meeting. After she left, Emmett leaned forward. You okay? No. I met his gaze. I'm angry. They chose Danny over me for years, and now they're losing everything because of it. Good. He pushed the napkin toward me. Use that anger. Channel it into this. I looked at his scribbles. A business model that would transform my foundation into something bigger, bolder. It's risky, he warned. You'll need capital, connections. I have connections, and thanks to my secret trust, I still have some capital they couldn't touch. You'll also need to be ruthless. No more playing the reliable daughter. I thought of Danny in his expensive suit, of Mom crying in Josephine's kitchen, of Dad dismissing my concerns for years. Ruthless I can do. Emmett grinned. Then let's talk strategy. First, you'll need to... My phone buzzed. Dad's number. Aren't you going to answer that? I declined the call. They made their choice. Now I'm making mine. We spent the next hour outlining plans, identifying potential investors, mapping out a timeline. As we wrapped up, Emmett handed me his card. 2 rules if we do this. 1, you follow my lead without question. 2, no matter what your family does, you stay focused. Deal. I stood to leave, then paused. Why are you helping me? Because 10 years ago I was you, watching family destroy everything I built. He shrugged. Maybe helping you get your revenge will be my revenge too. It's not about revenge, I said automatically. No? He raised an eyebrow. Then why does it feel so good planning it? I left the cafe smiling. Another call from Mom going to voicemail. Let them worry. Let them wonder. While they were focused on saving Danny's latest failure, I'd be building something they couldn't touch, couldn't control, couldn't destroy. Something that would make them finally see me. And if they lost everything in the process, well, that was just karma doing its job. Your numbers are solid, the investor said, scanning my proposal. But why the rush to scale? I sat in my 10th investor meeting this month, channeling every ounce of confidence Emmett had drilled into me. Because while we debate, thousands of people are missing opportunities for employment. My foundation's current model helps hundreds. This expansion could help millions. And turn a significant profit in the process, Emmett added from beside me. The investor, a sharp-eyed woman named Victoria, smiled. I like the ambition, but what makes you different from other job training programs? We don't just train. We partner with companies, guarantee placements, and take a percentage of first-year salaries. Everyone wins. Companies get vetted employees, workers get stable jobs, and we get sustainable revenue. Victoria leaned back. I'm in. 5 million, 15% stake. My heart leaped, but Emmett had prepared me for this. 10%. We have 2 other investors interested at that rate. 12. Final offer. I pretended to consider it. Done. Outside the meeting, Emmett clapped my shoulder. Perfect execution. 3 months of planning, and you've just secured your cornerstone investor. My phone buzzed. A text from Josephine. SOS. Danny at my door asking about you. Speaking of planning, Emmett said, reading over my shoulder. How's the family situation? About to get more complicated. I typed a quick response telling Josephine to send Danny away. They're selling the house next week. Good. Let them hit bottom. Makes your eyes more dramatic. A familiar figure caught my eye across the lobby. Speaking of Danny, my brother was walking toward us, looking decidedly less polished than the last time I'd seen him. His designer suit had been replaced by wrinkled khakis and an untucked shirt. Fell. Thank God. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy. I turned to Emmett. Meet you at the office? He nodded, giving Danny a cold once-over before leaving. Who's that? Danny asked. My business partner. What do you want? He ran a hand through his unkempt hair. Look, I know things are weird right now, but I need your help. I've got this new opportunity. No. You haven't even heard the pitch. It's brilliant. We could work together. Like we worked together on my inheritance? His face flushed. That was different. I was desperate. And now you're desperate again. I checked my watch. I have another meeting. Mom and Dad are losing the house. I know. And you don't care? I met his eyes. Did you care when you took my money? That's not fair. I was going to pay you back. With what? Your crypto crashed, Danny. Your investors are suing. You've got nothing left to lose, but Mom and Dad? I shook my head. They're losing everything because of you. Because of me? His voice rose. You're the one with money now. You could help them. Like they helped you? By enabling every bad decision you've ever made? At least I take risks. What have you ever done except play it safe with your little charity? I pulled up a news article on my phone and showed him the headline. Hope Forward Foundation secures major investment for global expansion. His face went pale. $5 million? How? By working for it. By building something real. I put my phone away. Something you wouldn't understand. Fel, please, if you could just loan me enough to... To what? Start another failed business? Drag more people down with you? I stepped closer. Here's some free business advice. Stop looking for handouts and start facing consequences. They're your parents too. And they chose you, every time. I turned to leave. Now they can live with that choice. You've changed, he called after me. You used to care about family. I stopped. You're right. I have changed. I'm not the reliable sister anymore, Danny. I'm not the backup plan or the safety net. I'm the one who's going to succeed while you all fall apart. His laugh was bitter. So this is revenge. No, I smiled. This is karma, and it's just getting started. Back at my office, Emmett was waiting with champagne. To $5 million and sweet justice. I took a glass. He wanted money. Of course he did. They always do. Emmett's expression darkened. My sister showed up at my door 5 times before she finally got the message. And now she works retail and lives in a studio apartment. Sometimes rock bottom is the only teacher people understand. I stared at my reflection in the window, remembering Danny's desperate face. Think they'll ever learn? Doesn't matter. Emmett clinked his glass against mine. Because by the time they do, you'll be too powerful for them to touch. I smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky gold. He was right. My family had made their choices. Now they could watch me make mine. Local foundation revolutionizes job training market, Josephine read from her tablet. Hope Forward Foundation, under the leadership of visionary CEO Felicity, has transformed from a local charity into a national powerhouse. I barely heard her, focused on the moving truck outside my parents' house. From my parked car across the street, I watched them load furniture I'd grown up with. You shouldn't torture yourself like this, Josephine said softly. I'm not. I'm reminding myself why I'm doing this. I watched Mum emerge, wiping tears as Dad guided her to their car. Where are they staying? Small apartment across town. Danny's couch surfing with friends. My phone lit up with a message from Emmett. Today's show wants an interview. Time to show your family what they missed? You're going to do it, right? Josephine asked, reading over my shoulder. Before I could answer, a knock on my car window made us both jump. Mom stood there, looking older than I'd ever seen her. I rolled down the window. Hi, Mom. I thought that was your car. She tried to smile. You look good. Professional. Thanks. I saw you in the business journal. Your father and we're proud of you. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Now you're proud? Not when I was working 60-hour weeks building the foundation? Not when I made director? Felicity, please. We've lost everything. Can't we just... You lost everything because you gave it to Danny. My inheritance, your savings, the house equity, all gone because you couldn't say no to him. He's your brother, and I'm your daughter. The words exploded out of me. But that never seemed to matter, did it? Dad appeared behind her. Is that Felicity? Thank God. We need to talk about... About what? Money? I laughed. That's the only reason you ever notice me now. That's not fair, Mom protested. We notice... Really? What position did I just get promoted to? What's my foundation's new program called? How many employees do I have? Their silence was answer enough. But I bet you know exactly how much Danny lost on his last venture, every detail of his latest brilliant idea. We made mistakes, Dad admitted, but we're still family. Family? I started the engine. Family trusts each other. Family supports each other. Family doesn't steal inheritances. Please, Mom reached through the window. We're about to lose our last storage unit. All our memories, photos. Should have thought about that before giving Danny the storage payment for his crypto scheme. Dad's face hardened. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching us suffer? No, Dad. I'm just done suffering for you. I pulled away, leaving them standing in front of their empty house. Josephine waited until we turned the corner before speaking. You okay? No. I pulled into a coffee shop parking lot. But I will be. My phone rang. Emmett, tell me you're doing the Today Show interview, he said without preamble. I don't know. Feels petty. It's not petty. It's strategic. Your story will inspire people. Girl from modest background, betrayed by family, builds empire helping others. It's perfect. Speaking of perfect, Josephine cut in. Incoming drama at 2:00. Danny was walking toward my car, looking worse than ever. I'll call you back, I told Emmett. Danny knocked on my window. This time, I got out. You look terrible. Yeah, well, sleeping on friends' couches will do that. He shuffled his feet. Nice article in the journal. What do you want, Danny? Can't I congratulate my successful sister? You never have before. He winced. Okay, I deserve that. Look, I've been thinking, maybe we could work together? Your business model is amazing, and I have some ideas. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. You don't want to work with me. You want to work through me, access my contacts, my investors, my reputation. That's not... It is. It always is. But here's the thing, Danny. I'm not the backup plan anymore. I'm not the safety net. I'm the one who succeeded despite you, despite Mom and Dad, despite everyone who thought I was playing it too safe. They're living in a one-bedroom apartment, Fel. Mom's crying every night. Dad's working at a hardware store, and you're still trying to scheme instead of getting a real job. His face flushed. I'm an entrepreneur. You're a con artist who's been enabled his whole life, but guess what? The enabling stops here. The Today Show wants to interview me, I continued. National television. Should I tell them about my inspiring family? About how you stole my inheritance? About how our parents chose you over me every single time? He paled. You wouldn't. Watch me. As I got back in my car, he called out, What happened to you? I looked at him through the window. I grew up. Maybe it's time you did too. Pulling out my phone, I texted Emmett. Book the interview. Time to show everyone exactly who I've become. And your foundation has helped how many people find employment? The Today Show host asked, leaning forward with practiced interest. Over 10,000 in the past 3 months alone, I replied, smoothing my skirt. And we're just getting started. Amazing. And this all began with a small local charity. Actually, I met her gaze. It began with betrayal. The host's eyes lit up. Oh? My family stole my inheritance, money my grandmother left specifically for me, to fund my brother's failed business ventures. Instead of breaking me, it motivated me to build something they couldn't touch. Emmett, watching from the wings, gave me a thumbs up. That must have been devastating, the host sympathized. It was, but it taught me something valuable. Sometimes the people closest to you can be the ones holding you back. After the interview, my phone exploded with notifications. Josephine sent a screenshot of my parents' Facebook post. So proud of our daughter's success. Family is everything. Hypocrites, I muttered, showing Emmett. Perfect timing, he said, steering me toward the studio exit. Because wait until they see tomorrow's announcement. The expansion? 3 new international offices, 40 million in additional funding. He grinned. You're about to become the kind of successful they can't ignore, or touch. My phone rang. Mum's number. Don't, Emmett warned. I answered anyway. Hello? Sweetheart, you were wonderful on TV. Though did you have to mention, the theft? That's what it was, Mom. Theft. We're family. Stop saying that. Family doesn't steal from family. We're trying to make amends, she pleaded. Your father's working 2 jobs now. Danny's finally got a real job at... Let me guess. He needs money for some amazing opportunity. Her silence was telling. Goodbye, Mom. Wait. There's something else. The storage unit. They're auctioning it tomorrow. All our photos, your grandmother's jewelry. Not my problem. Please, Felicity. Just a small loan. I hung up, hands shaking. They never change, Emmett said quietly. No, they don't. I straightened my shoulders. Meeting with the European investors still on for this afternoon? About that? He showed me his tablet. They've doubled their offer after seeing your interview. Seems they like the redemption story angle. My phone buzzed again. Dad, this time. Your mother's crying, he said when I answered. Is that what you wanted? What I wanted was parents who protected me instead of enabling Danny. What I wanted was my inheritance. We made mistakes. No, you made choices. Now you're living with them. We're about to lose everything in that storage unit, he pressed. Your childhood photos, your graduation videos. Should have thought about that before giving Danny the money for it. He promised to pay. He always promises. I was shouting now, not caring who heard. And you always believe him. Well, guess what? I'm done cleaning up his messes. I'm done being the responsible one. I'm done with all of you. Silence. Then, you've become cold. No, Dad. I've become successful. There's a difference. I hung up as Emmett approached with another investor. More meetings, more deals, more success they couldn't touch or take or destroy. That evening, Josephine brought wine to my office. Your interview's gone viral. Good. Danny's girlfriend called, said he's drinking again. Not my problem. And your parents. Also not my problem. I poured another glass. The storage auction's tomorrow. Are you going to help them? Why should I? Because they're suffering? They deserve to suffer. Josephine set down her glass. Maybe. But is this revenge making you happy? I walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. Happiness isn't the point. Then what is? Justice. Consequences. making them feel what I felt. And when does it end? My phone buzzed. A text from Danny. They're crying every night because of you. I showed it to Josephine. It ends when they stop trying to manipulate me. When they finally understand they can't fix this. And if they lose everything? I thought of my grandmother's jewelry in that storage unit, of baby photos and family videos and Christmas decorations we'd hung every year. Then they lose everything. Josephine stood to leave. Just remember, revenge changes both sides. Make sure you recognize yourself when this is over. After she left, I stared at my reflection in the window. The designer suit, the perfect makeup, the cold eyes. Success looked good on me, but somewhere, in a storage unit across town, a little girl in faded photographs smiled with her family, not knowing what they'd become, or what she'd become. The storage facility's parking lot was nearly empty when I pulled in, 15 minutes before the auction. I told myself I was just curious, but the knot in my stomach suggested otherwise. Going once, Unit 247, starting bid 500. I rounded the corner to find a small crowd gathered around my parents' storage unit. Mom and Dad stood at the back, holding hands, looking defeated. Danny wasn't there. 500. Do I hear 550? 600, someone called. Mom wiped her eyes with a tissue. Dad just stared at the ground. 700, I said, loud enough to carry. They both spun around. Mom started forward, but Dad held her back. 800, called another bidder. 1,000, I counted. The auctioneer perked up. $1,000, do I hear? 2,000, said a familiar voice. Danny emerged from behind a row of units, eyes bloodshot, clothes rumpled. 2,500, I said without looking at him. 3,000, Mom gasped. Danny, where did you... 5,000, I said flatly. The crowd murmured. Danny's face reddened. 6,000, I finally turned to him. Where'd you get the money, Danny? Another scam? Another loan? 7,000, his voice cracked. $10,000, I said to the auctioneer. Cash, right now. Silence fell. Danny's shoulders slumped. 10,000 going once, twice, sold. As the crowd dispersed, Danny stormed over. Why? Why can't you just let me fix this? Because you can't fix anything. Where did you get that money? He looked away. I borrowed it. From who? Some guys. They offered good terms. Loan sharks? Dad stepped forward. Danny, how could you? I had to do something, while she, he jabbed a finger at me, sits in her fancy office watching us suffer. You did this, I said quietly. All of it. The inheritance, the house, and now loan sharks? When does it end? I was trying to save our memories. No, you were trying to play hero again. But you know what? I'm done watching you destroy everything you touch. I turned to my parents. The unit's contents will be donated. Every photo, every keepsake, every piece of jewelry. Felicity, please, Mom sobbed. Your grandmother's things. My grandmother trusted you to protect her gift to me. How did that work out? We're sorry, Dad said, his voice breaking. We know we failed you. Sorry doesn't fix this. Then what will? Mom asked. What do you want from us? I want you to feel what I felt. The helplessness, the betrayal, the knowledge that your own family chose someone else over you. Every single time. Danny laughed bitterly. So, this is your revenge? Making us all miserable? No. I pulled out my phone and dialed. Emmett, proceed with the press release about our new program. I hung up and faced them. That was me announcing Hope Forward's latest initiative, helping families affected by financial fraud rebuild their lives. You know, families like ours. What does that mean? Dad asked. It means I'm going public with everything. The theft, the enabling, all of it. Your story will help other families recognize toxic patterns before it's too late. You can't, Danny protested. My reputation. Your reputation? I laughed. You mean the one you built on stolen money and broken promises? That reputation? We're begging you, Mom pleaded. We've lost everything else, and whose fault is that? Who chose Danny over me? Who stole my inheritance? Who watched me work myself to exhaustion, building something real while throwing money at his schemes? Dad stepped forward. What do you want us to do? I want you to live with your choices. I want you to watch while I succeed without you. I want you to understand that actions have consequences. The loan sharks, Danny said quietly. They'll hurt me if I don't pay. Should have thought of that before borrowing from them. Felicity, Mom grabbed my arm. He's your brother. I pulled away. Not anymore. As I walked to my car, Dad called out, We really are proud of you, you know, despite everything. I stopped but didn't turn around. Funny how your pride only showed up after I became successful. Please, Mom tried one last time. Don't do this. I'm not doing anything. I'm just telling the truth. The whole truth. Finally, I got in my car, watching them in my rearview mirror. Mom crying, Dad holding her, Danny staring at the ground. A perfect family portrait of consequences. My phone buzzed. Emmett. Press release goes live in an hour. Sure about this? I typed back. Absolutely. Time for everyone to see the real story. As I drove away, I didn't look back. They'd made their choices. Now they could live with them. Your story has inspired thousands, the interviewer said, adjusting her microphone. We sat in my office, surrounded by cameras for a major business magazine feature. But some might say exposing your family was cruel. Cruel? I glanced at the framed magazine covers on my wall, each highlighting hope-forward success. What's cruel is watching your brother destroy lives while your parents enable him. And has he changed? Before I could answer, my assistant knocked. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here you need to see. Danny walked in, wearing a uniform from a local grocery store. The interviewer's eyes widened with recognition. Can we pause? I asked her. She nodded and stepped out with her crew. Nice office, Danny said, looking around. Very corporate. Why are you here? He pulled an envelope from his pocket. First payment, for the loan sharks. You're working as a grocery clerk? Assistant manager, actually. He managed a small smile. Turns out I'm good at organizing things when I'm not trying to get rich quick. I took the envelope. I'll make sure it gets to them. Mom and Dad don't know I'm here. He shifted uncomfortably. They're doing better. Dad's managing the hardware store now. Mom's teaching piano lessons. I know. Of course you do. He ran a hand through his hair. Your foundation's new program, the one about families affected by fraud. It's helping people. Real people. That was the point. Yeah, well, he pulled out his phone, showing me a social media post. This woman, she left her brother after reading our story. Said it helped her recognize the pattern before he destroyed her life too. Good for her. Good for you, you mean. He put his phone away. You won, Fel. You built something amazing, exposed our dysfunction, made us face ourselves. You got your revenge. It wasn't about revenge, wasn't it? Before I could answer, Josephine burst in. Turn on the news, now! I grabbed the remote, and there it was, Danny's loan sharks being led away in handcuffs. Federal agents arrested a major loan shark ring, the reporter announced. Anonymous tip led to... I looked at Danny. He shrugged. Turns out rock bottom gives you perspective, and courage. My phone buzzed. Mom. We saw the news. Is Danny safe? They can't hurt you now, I told him. Thanks to you. He stepped closer. You could have let them come after me. Would have served me right. You're still my brother. Am I? Thought you said I wasn't anymore. I was angry. You were right. He headed for the door, then stopped. The storage unit stuff. Did you really donate it all? I walked to my desk, opened a drawer, and pulled out a small jewelry box. Grandma's locket, the only thing I kept. Mom cries about that locket. I know. I stared at it. Tell her she can come see it sometime, if she wants. His eyes widened. Really? Small steps, Danny. Very small steps. After he left, the interviewer returned. Family drama? Family healing. Maybe. Want to talk about it? I thought about Danny in his uniform, about Mom teaching piano, about Dad managing instead of enabling. Want to hear a different story? I asked. Not about revenge or justice, but about growth? About how sometimes losing everything helps you find yourself? She leaned forward. Tell me. My family betrayed me, I began. But their betrayal forced me to become stronger, to build something meaningful, to help others avoid our mistakes. And now I understand something my grandmother tried to tell me. True success isn't about getting even. It's about getting better. My phone buzzed again. Dad, proud of what you did for Danny. Proud of who you've become. Not because of your success, but because of your strength. For the first time in months, I wrote back. Thanks, Dad. The interviewer smiled. So what's next for Hope Forward? I picked up the locket, feeling its weight. We're launching a new initiative, Family Reconciliation Counseling, because sometimes the hardest person to forgive isn't the one who hurt you, it's the person you became while hurting them back. Speaking from experience? Speaking from hope. I put the locket back in my desk, because forward is the only way to grow. After the interview, I called Mum. She answered on the first ring. Felicity? The locket, I said. Come see it tomorrow? We can talk. Her breath caught. I'd like that. Small steps, Mum. Small steps, she agreed. I hung up and looked out my office window at the city below. Somewhere out there, families were healing because of our story, including maybe our own, not through revenge or justice or even success, but through the hardest victory of all, forgiveness.